T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
Oh, yeah. You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. That's right, baby, in the world. Welcome. I'm your boy, MJ. If this is your first time tapping in, wow. Do your boy a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That way you're on top of every single podcast I drop here on the Snake Trap Sessions channel. I drop about 4 podcasts a week, okay? Only one doing that. And I drop a vlog every Saturday. I'm very passionate about reptiles. Very, I don't know, I guess I could say proud of the people I know in this industry that I like bringing them to this channel. I like talking about them and having them talk and everything. So hit that subscribe button. And if you're just as passionate as I am, you're going to like what you see coming out of this channel. So other than that, hit that like button. Very crucial. If you guys hit that like button, if you like what you're hearing on the channel, if you like what my boy Mark is spitting, the kind of fire you hear tonight, then hit that like button. It's so crucial that you hit your like button. I'll give you friendly reminders to hit that like button, and it would really mean a lot. Texas, I know you're in the building. What is good? Before I get to the early birds, I see early birds up and jumping. I appreciate you guys so much, but you know how we do things on this channel, on this show, for the freshest and bestest. Rodents delivered to your doorstep. Cold Blooded Cafe's your jam. $30 flat rate shipping. Day one pinks to the mammoth rat to your doorstep. That's right. Shout to Steven. Shout to Desiree. Shout to the whole Cold Blooded Cafe team, leading the industry for many, many years. Good friends of mine. Cannot wait to hang out with them next week. I'll see you guys soon. Shout out to John and Alex. See these guys soon too. Shout out to John and Alex from Sink Container. If you got eggs, put them inside of an egg box. Excuse me. Of course, put them in an egg box. Put them inside of a sim box, okay? Because if it's a sim, it's a win. 110%. I have Super Door for tick eggs cooking inside of a sim box, and I'm so excited. They're about less than a month away from being hatched out, and I cannot wait. But yeah, anything that is an egg that I produced this year goes inside of a sim container. That's the way to go. Check them out. Hit them up on Instagram. Check out their monitor game. They are amazing. 2 amazing guys in this industry. Very, very awesome. So check them out. Shout out to John. Shout out to Alex over at Sim Container. Shout out to Stephen and Ashley, Focus Cube Habitats, Flex in Texas, all day, every day. These 2 right here, very, very awesome what they have going on with their PVC bolt enclosures, custom built, Flex in Texas, all day, every day. Go give them a follow on Instagram. Go see what they're all about. Definitely been putting in mad work and making mad traction in the industry. So thank you so much, Stephen and Ashley. I appreciate your guys' support. Shout out to the leader of Stainless Steel Racks, by far, Jesse, the entire Freedom Breeder crew. Thank you so much for doing what you do, making United States even that much more legend. I appreciate you so much, Jesse. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Another guy I cannot wait to hang out with at Tinley next week. Woo, Tinley. Hey, this is the last show before Tinley in March going down next week. Ooh, I am pumped. But yes, Jesse, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. Big Dog. Oh my God, this guy is so drunk in Mexico right now in a good way. He is just living life. God bless him. I don't think he's taken a vacation in a long time. So I want to say special heavy shout to my boy, Miguel Garcia, Always Evolving Pythons, the entire Garcia family killing it in Mexico right now. I'm very jealous, but you know what? These are people that have been working so hard to where to see these people take a vacation, it feels good. I'm happy for them. So good for you guys. Enjoy that weather. Enjoy that Mexican food, beer, all that stuff. You guys are loving it, man. I appreciate you guys' support so much. If you guys don't know who the hell AEP, by the way, hell's not a cuss word, but if you want to know who Miguel Garcia is, and if you don't know too much about ball pythons, this is the guy to follow. I'm telling you right now. Go give him a follow on Instagram. Hit him up on YouTube. He's the guy. I'm telling you right now. Miguel Garcia. Thank you so much. Always Evolving Pythons. I appreciate your support. Big time. And then my man right now, killing everything what he's touching. This guy, not in that way, but I'm saying like he's making big moves right now. My boy Alan from Amazing Basins. I'm a huge basin fanatic. You know, I love chondros. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I sit what I believe in, and that's I love chondros more than anything. I mean, I love emeralds, but chondros with my heart. But at the end of the day, I don't have basins, and basins is such a dreamy animal of mine. I hope I do one day. But anyways, if you're that passionate about basins, if you want to learn more about basins, or if you already have basins and want to elevate the game and talk to somebody who's breeding them and doing really good things by them, this is the guy you want to go talk to. This is the guy you want to go mess with. My boy, Alan from Amazing Basins. Hit him up on Instagram. He has an amazing Patreon page that's growing. If you want to become on a wait list and whatnot, you're going to want to become a part of his Patreon page. So, Alan, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you, big dog. Shout out to Blake Stewart, doing big things. Stewart Design. This guy is breaking the mold right now when it comes to brand name changing for anybody in the hobby. This guy has, I'm telling you, he's done wonders for Justin Kabelka, Garrett Hartle, and has worked with a handful of other reptile hobbyists that are trying to do this to a professional level and take it to that next, level of full-timeness. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, go give him a follow on Instagram, SD Identity. And he is behind so many player moves right now, which we're going to talk a little about Blake right now in just a second, but appreciate you, Blake Stewart. Thank you much for all your love and support. Really means a lot. And then guys, telling you right now, if you have not made it to a Reptile Super Show, it is time. This is your year to go to Reptile Super Show. Anaheim's right around the corner. Then we have another Pomona. Then we have Vegas. So guys, please, let's go. If you're on the West Coast, you got to go to Reptile Super Show. If you're on the East Coast, the Midwest, and you have time, vacation it. Let's go. Come over here. Fly into San Diego, and I'll show you what's up. Almost cussed right there. You see that? I'll show you what's up, and I'll take you around. And and then I'm not far from Pomona, and there is a San Diego Super Show and all that. But I'm telling you right now, man, you're gonna want to go to a Reptile Super Show. That's where the fun's at. And then of course NARBC, the real deal Holyfield when it comes to shows. The Super Bowl shows, I feel like, is going down next week at Tinley in March. Who's going? I need a Tinley roll call right now. Drop a comment. All right. By the way, shout out to Bob Ashley, shout out to Bron Potter. Whoever drops a comment, not in the live chat. I'm not talking the live chat. I'm talking about whoever drops a comment, like in the actual comment thread, okay, and lets me know who's going to Tinley. Just say yes or no. I will send you one of these 6 stickers right here. Check these out. Custom. These are custom. And you know me, I don't do sticker swaps. I don't want nothing in return. You know what I mean? This is for you if you drop a comment. Look at that. See the alpacas in the background? Custom. See that right there? That drawing right there? My boy who did that did these as well. So drop a comment. All right, and I'll send you a sticker straight up. Don't send me one. I'm good. Thank you so much, Brian Potter, Bob Ashley. I will see you guys next week. And whoever's going to Tinley, be ready to rock and roll because it is going to be fun. Can't wait. Shout out to Phil Goss, US Arc. The big fight is never going to stop. We got to continue to join together, join our forces, and help Phil battle these demons. Because I'm telling you right now, nobody's going to take my animals away from me. So I will do what I got to do. I will support who I have to support to make sure I am protected. You should be doing the same. You should be considering the same. Go down to the link below. Read about US Arc if you're not too sure about it. If you are like on the fence about it and you're like, you know what, man, I should do it. Yeah, you should do it. Just go down there and just join. Become a member, man. I got people who just started who are putting out $5 a month. You know what I mean? Just because it feels right. You know what I mean? And Phil Goss is the only one battling these fights for us. So go check it out. I do want to share one other thing. Blake Stewart teamed up with US Arc and came up with something really awesome. I know one thing I love about US Arc are seeing the new US Arc shirts and gear out there, which I think is really awesome because any of that stuff that you purchase goes all over, goes straight to US Arc. So what Blake Stewart did was create a shop, a US Arc shop where you could go buy banners, you could buy flyers, anything to rep US Arc. Look at all this stuff. Tablecloth covers. This is awesome. Fabric banners. This is so awesome right here. So, guys, there's a link in the description below, or you could just go right now, usarcshop.com. Okay, spread this website everywhere. It's awesome. Go get yourself some US Arc gear, and it's amazing, man. I'm telling you right now. Shout out to Blake Stewart for creating such an amazing website and helping US Arc get the name out there. I appreciate you, Blake Stewart. Appreciate you, Phil Goss, and I appreciate you for supporting US Arc. Okay, if you don't support US Arc, shame on you. I want to say something else, but I can't. Shame on you. That's all I'm going to say. If you guys want to see exactly what I have going on with my own collection and whatnot, you know, you want to see my ball pythons? Yeah, I got ball pythons. They're pretty sick. Check them out. Instagram, mjexoticscartal with an A, not an E. I do post a lot of my other passionate projects I have going on there as well. So very active on Instagram. Hit me up and then follow. I just now got access again to my Trap Talk with MJ podcast Instagram page. Thank you much. Thank you so much, IG, for letting me back in. I appreciate you. Shout out to my Twitch viewers. I see my Twitch viewers going up. And then if you guys would like to donate anything to this channel, I appreciate any like, any subscription. But for whatever reason, if you like to donate, go ahead and donate anything you like to Exotics Cartel with an A, not an E, to PayPal. And then any live super chat. So meaning if you have a super chat is a question that you want Mark, that you would have for Mark. And you could be $1, it could be $2, whatever. Any super chat that you put down gets donated to US Arc. Any super chat that gets put down gets a sticker sent out to him, okay? The highest super chat gets a Trap Talk with MJ pocket t-shirt, limited edition, okay? Are you kidding me? I don't give these out. I'm dead serious. So that being said, now, for whatever reason, if you don't drop a super chat and you want a shirt, I do have a pre-order going on with these shirts. These shirts typically only for my Patreon members, only for the guests I have on the show, but I am coming out with one wave of shirts for all my trappers out there who are supporting the show and who watch it. So if you out there want to get your hands on one of these limited edition Trap Talk with MJ pocket t-shirts, that's right, there's a pocket in there. It's hard to see, but there is a pocket. You can put stuff, you can put whatever you want in there. But I'm just saying, hit me up on Instagram, shoot me an email, get on that pre-order list, and I'll get you a shirt. And then, yeah, biggest super chat of the night gets Trap Talk with MJ podcast pocket t-shirts. What is good? I am so excited. Dude, early birds. Woo! You guys are going. What is going on, early birds? Forest Pythons, Bateman. What is good, Kevin? Thank you for being here. Trap Talk Patreon family member all day. Cole Sharam. What is good, buddy? Thanks for being here. 1776 Exotics. I knew he would be here. Chondro. Recent ball python fanatic turned chondro fanatic and has been killing it with the chondros that he's raising up. Thanks for being here, Big Mike. You're going to be happy you tuned into this one. What's good, Chantel? How you doing, homegirl? Pacific Rim Serpents. Thanks for being here. By the way, Trap Talk Patreon family member. Trap Talk Patreon family member. Big Harry, the Mushroom Cowboy from Canada. Trap Talk Patreon family member. Deviant Glass, Trap Talk Patreon family member. Oh, my Patreon family members here. I love it. Tyler King, Trap Talk Patreon family member. What is good? Jay Holbrook, Jay the Barber. What is good? Jay, should I not get lined up? Are you going to line me up next week? Can you take care of it? All right, I'm going to have my boy Barber Jay line me up. Thank you for being a part of the Patreon family, bro. Means a lot. High as balls. What's up, Ryan? Thanks for being here. Trap Talk family member all day. The homie Chris Herp Hub. What is good? Thanks for being here, player. Trap Talk family member all day. Calvin Garcia, head of Trap Security. Savage, that's my boy. Trap Talk family member all day. Lizard Man, what is good? Trap Talk family member all day. Mason Johnson, you need to update your information on Patreon page, but you're still a Trap Talk family member all day. Thanks for being here. Eric's More Factory, what is good, player? Thanks for being here. Wise Guys, Reptiles, what is good? Thanks for being here. Danny and Renee, wow, how is parenting going? Hope you guys are doing great. This guy right here is a new dad too. This is gonna be awesome. We'll talk about it. Thanks for being here. The homie Jeremy, what's up, Jeremy? Or is it Jason? Jason, what's up? I'm just kidding. What's up, Jeremy? Thanks for being here. Trap Talk family member all day. So are these two. Oh my God, I love it. Lily, what is good? Thanks for being here. Okay, two more. Travis F. What the F, Travis? Thanks for being here, bro. And then my boy Triple G, who just picked up a bunch of trap heat, and he is killing it. Go give him a follow right now. Triple G on Instagram. My boy Finny Finn. Thank you for being here, bro. All right, guys. I am so excited for tonight because, yeah, this podcast is well overdue. I've known this guy for, I mean, technically, as long as I've been in the hobby, I've known this guy for a while. I mean, I've known him, been following one of the first Chondro pages. I begin to follow. I believe I even followed his page before Bill's. Crazy, huh? But anyways, I'm excited to have this guy on because very, very nice guy, man. And I have a story that I'll tell you on how we first met and how we talked and, built the relationship that is brought to you here today. And here is my man, Mark from Texas Chondros. Hi, Mark.
What's up, MJ? How's it going?
How are you, my kind sir?
Man, I'm doing great. Hey, you have surpassed so many expectations already in this podcast. Marcia Heger is just beaming with pride right now. She is.
Are you sure? Are you just assuming this, or do you know that she's really happy right now?
I don't know. I don't know if she's watching currently, but
dang it, Mark. Gosh darn it.
But gosh darn it. That's right.
It's okay. But listen, nobody knows your mom.
No, I didn't ask you to not cuss. I'm fine with cussing. The language is great. The story is my mom watched the Unfiltered podcast and was like, Mark, honey, you did so good on that podcast. Oh, it was so good to see you on there. And I loved it, except for that one guy that did all the cussing. So.
Oh my God, I love it. Check it out.
He's a straight shooter, man.
Well, God bless her. She should be, because here's the thing. If I knew, sometimes I don't know my audience, right? So if I knew my own mom was watching, I know how to watch my mouth. Trust me. Okay. If I'm in front, this is why my parents, you think I cuss in front of my in-laws like that? No, you know what I mean? So yeah. I'm trying to prove people that I do have some sort of self-control. And Mama Heger, be ready for a good show. Okay. Because we're going on a ride. We're going on a ride, and not one curse word out of my mouth tonight, Mama Heger.
Hey, I'm very impressed so far.
And you know what? Check this out. I forgot my wine. So hold on. Let me get the ball rolling here, and then I'm gonna get my wine, and that's gonna that's gonna be more riskier. But I think I got this. But anyways, hey. Mark, how are you, buddy? I'm so happy you're here right now.
Man, I'm glad to be here. It's I always enjoy talking to you. Unfortunately, we don't get to do it face to face very often. But yeah, I'm stoked to be here. Stoked to talk to you. I was really excited to actually get to hug you and spend time in person the other day when you were here for Arlington. And man,
do you remember what you said to me? That I don't think I told you how much it hit me when you said it, but you remember the word you said to me when we hugged?
No.
Welcome home.
Welcome home, dude.
I felt it. So I felt like it was out of like a cowboy movie or something. Like if I was gone for a long time, I finally came home. Dude, I do feel home. Like I love being, anyone would love Bill's backyard, but just Texas in general. I mean, I don't know, man.
Man, the Southern hospitality is real.
It really is.
When people come in, man, we like to show some good old Southern comfort. Give them that Texas howdy and show them some love.
Well, how's everything going for you, Mark? I mean, just kind of update people as far as what's been new with you. For the most part, people know you breed chondros and whatnot, but what's been the day-to-day normally for you nowadays? What's going on with your collection, and just kind of update people. While you do that, I'm going to grab my bottle of wine. Okay.
Yeah. So everything for me has been really good lately. In the middle of November, we actually moved like 10 minutes up the road. So we moved houses, and then 2 weeks after that, we had our first kid. And man, it's been wild since then. We played it pretty fast and loose there, trying to get into the house, get things moved in, get everything like set up, and then moving the snakes back and forth. I had to move the snakes out of the house we were selling into my parents' house so that we could like have showings and everything, and have people come through and look at the house and not have like a locked room that they can't go into. So I had to move the snakes to my parents' house, and then I had to move the snakes into the new house once we got everything set up here. And so that was madness. And then Kingston came 2 weeks later. So baby King's here. Yeah.
I love it. Who came up with the name Kingston?
Man, we've had that like on our minds for a long time. It's just a name that's been really special to us for, really ever since Emily and I got married. And so we were waiting for it just for a long time. I had a friend growing up named King, and I just thought it was the raddest thing. And then man, to be able to, name my kid Kingston is like, it's awesome. Little shout out to the Lord and just like the blessing that he's given us. So it's really, really cool. He's freaking awesome. He's super cool.
The Trapless Kingston.
Yeah, dude.
Kingston.
To Kingston.
So I got to ask you, Mark, to revert back to you moving. Definitely in my knock on wood, but I'm writing it out to the end where I'm at right now. But me and my wife, we're house hunting on the low and saving and whatnot. And I'm kind of dreading it because I don't know how far I'm going to move if I need to move. I don't know what the next move's going to be. But how far did you have to move from your old spot, and how was the transition? Did you just go along with still like pairing things at that time if you had them paired, or did you stop? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, so thankfully we didn't have to move very far. So we only moved like 10 minutes away. But because I had to move the snakes out of my old house and into my parents', like when we were showing our house, and then move them from my parents' house into the new house, the transition was rough. I lost a couple of chondros in it, unfortunately. They just, I think it was much more of being at my parents' house and not having like someone there with, just an attentive eye of like, okay, like this room, like what's the temperature like? Like, what's it feel like? What, like, right. What noises are in here? What, like, is the light going on? Is the light going off? Like, just someone who is paying attention to snakes makes a huge difference. And, when you do this every day, and you just go through motions in your head of like, oh yeah, I know what things should feel like. I know what things should look like. And
smell.
And so, yeah. And someone who doesn't keep snakes, they don't go through that same checklist every day. And so I would get over there as often as I could, but ultimately some animals got sick while they were there. And I lost a couple in the move. So that sucks. It was terrible, but it's just part of it, man. So, but yeah, now that we're set up here, everything's great. I continued to pair, and I got eggs in the incubator right now. I got another female that's ready to drop any day now. So, sometimes it's good to take a season off when you move. But man, also I've seen it both ways where sometimes a move just like it hits the reset button, or it kicks them into gear. Like there's some like stimuli that happens where when they're in a different place. I've had it happen twice where having to move snakes, I got clutches right afterwards.
Let me ask you this. What are some things for you that you consider? Like, let's just say, for instance, I'm like, hey, Mark, I got this pair that, for whatever reason, I got to part with them and I want you to have them. And, everything checks out and you're like, all right, send them over to me. What, like, once you get those snakes, like, what do you look at? What are some signs? And like, no matter what I tell you, what are you looking for to feel like, okay, maybe I should pair them this year if they look like they want to go? Like, what are you really looking for?
Yeah. So with the females, I want them to look pretty thick. I don't want them to be overweight, but I want them to have significant fat reserves on them because it just takes a lot out of them. And as a chondro female gets smaller, like a bigger chondro female doesn't need to be, doesn't need to have a ton of fat reserves because it's a big snake. Whereas a smaller female, I would say needs more fat reserves on her because the eggs are going to be relatively the same size from a big snake to a small snake.
Right.
But that smaller female, it's taking so much more of her body percentage to make those eggs. I had a female that was 450 grams. She was 6 years old, 7 years old, and only 450 grams. No matter how much I fed her, like she was just small. Never broke.
I got one of those.
Yeah, she never broke 500 grams. And she laid 7 good eggs for me. She had a hell of a time recovering, and it was really rough on her. But the bigger females, they can lay, a 900 gram female can lay 15 eggs, and it's not as big of a deal for her. So I want females to be pretty, just have decent fat reserves ready to go. I want them to be eating. I want them to be healthy. I don't want them to be making noises.
Right.
And males, the same thing. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be, of a good size and weight, because, I think a lot of people in all snake species, I think we kind of ignore males a lot. It's like we just focus on the females and say, oh, what is the female doing? What's she got going? And we kind of don't pay much attention to making sure the males are good too.
I mean, you should want both to be prime time. I mean, it takes 2 to tango.
Yeah. And I do like keeping my males leaner. But I definitely, I don't starve them. If they'll eat, man, I'll feed them.
Right.
Even during breeding and everything, my like stud green tree that he'll just breed anything. He never goes off feed. He eats all year round. He'll go into the female's cage. He'll breed. I'll pull him out, and he will eat every time. And so he's a dream snake. He's perfect.
So let's kind of I'll tell you right now, Mark, this channel is very big on attracting a lot of the newcomers that come into the hobby. And what I say is, like, they may not be new to like reptile, but might be new to a chondro or might be new to a certain species, right? So for the people who are in that position and are just fascinated about chondros and want to get into chondro at some point, kind of explain or break down you stepping into the chondro game. Like how far back do you go working with chondros? And like, and kind of talk like personally. Yeah. You personally.
Yeah. So the really cool thing about me getting into chondros is Bill Stiegel and I basically got into chondros around the same time. So we both got chondros around 2011, and both of us went in, relatively fast, just kind of fast and loose, started acquiring some animals. And I just, kind of collected animals over time. And then I didn't successfully breed them until 2018 was when I got my first clutch. It wasn't from lack of trying. I tried for a couple of years before that. But it was raising up the animals to make sure that they're the right size, the right age, finding animals that were, compatible with each other. So I've been keeping chondros for over a decade. And through those 10 years, I've probably had more than, I don't know, I've had a lot of animals. My collection now it's not massive. I probably have around 20 green trees right now in like my permanent collection.
Including babies?
No.
Okay. So 20 breeding animals, basically.
Yeah, subadults and adults.
Which is, I mean, to the typical like ball python guy or something, that's not quite a lot. But for chondros, like, because you gotta understand, nobody, I mean, not that it's impossible, but nobody's pumping out 15, 20 chondro clutches. You know what I mean? It's not that it's impossible, but why would you want to do that to yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
there's a lot of species of snakes, and ball pythons is a great example where the code has been cracked. Like,
right.
if you want to learn to breed ball pythons, you can pretty much put out a recipe for it. Like the code is cracked on ball pythons. Corn snakes, king snakes. Put in whatever species you want right there. There's a handful that the code's been cracked on, and I would say that the code has not been cracked on green trees. There's some people that have consistent success, but there's other people that do things completely different that also have success, or there's people that do the exact same stuff that don't have success. And so, man, green trees are not a get rich quick scheme. Chondros will break your heart way faster than they will pad your wallet. That is for sure.
100%. You could have said that. I like that saying. Chondros will break your heart way more than it would pad your wallet. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they'll break your heart way faster than they'll ever pad your wallet.
Do they ever really pad your wallet though? At the end of the day, I mean, because any chondro guy really is going to buy another chondro. That it's just like a never-ending thing. Like, you're never really because you got to admit, I mean, any respectable chondro guy is not doing chondros as a full-time thing. It's like a fun thing that they do and they're good at. Like, look at Marshall, look at Bill, look at you. Well, Bill's retired, but
yeah, I mean, Bill's full-time. He's full-time chondros. And but it doesn't.
What do you do before that?
yeah, exactly. But it also I don't think it matters what species you're working with, or how much you're producing of that said species. If you're bad with money, you're bad with money. Like, who's really good with money? Bill Stiegel.
Yeah, dude.
And man, that snake building that you got to see and film and spend time in, like,
a lot of money.
That snake building was, largely there because of really one snake in Bill's collection. Heger produced like all the cash that goes into that snake building, and it's not because green trees are a money. They're not making Bill tons of money, but Bill is smart with money that he gets from his snakes.
I also think this too, Mark, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm a huge guy and a believer in faith. And if things are meant to be in your life, the man upstairs will move some things around or make something happen where you're just like, holy shit, I got all this now because of, you know what I mean? And
sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go, man.
Hey, but yeah, Mama Heger, SHIT is really not like that word is allowed on television, just so you know, okay? Hey, and I will say it again. Listen,
you did
$50.
great.
I will donate $50 to US Arc. Any cuss word I say, oh, this is bad. This is gonna be bad. $50. I'm shipping $50 right now. Keep a tally toll. I got a swear jar right here, okay? $50. Anytime I say a cuss word, $50. Okay. Gosh darn it.
That's funny.
Somebody support me and drop a super chat. Come on, just drop $50. Gosh darn it. Anyways, okay. But anyway, but yes, I'm a huge believer that things happen for a reason. And you just gotta wait that out. Timing's everything. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Bill never had a timeline on that back part of his house being built. Bill don't have, things are just happening the way they're meant to happen. And Bill's riding waves. That's what Bill does. In Texas, he's riding waves.
I mean, absolutely. I think God brings the right opportunities at the right time for sure. but at the same time, I don't believe that God is trying to make us happy. I think he's trying to make us holy. And so happiness is not always the same as that. And I think a lot of hard work, perseverance, a lot of passion, if you're not passionate about chondros, then you're probably not going to last long. Just because they'll break your heart. Like,
yeah, it's a different kind of passion. It's literally like understanding the process that comes behind of what you're trying to do. And the people who think that it's such a hand-me-down thing and realize it's not are the ones that basically run for the hills and never get into chondros ever again. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, man, the number of snakes that have died in my care, it's not greater than the number that I've produced, but man, it's still a heartbreaking amount. And some of it was probably preventable at some points, but man, others of it's just dealing with live animals. Live animals, they get sick, they do crazy things, they are completely unpredictable. Even when you have them in a closed environment and you try and give them the best care, man, sometimes they will do their best to kill themselves somehow, and it's heartbreaking. It's terrible, but in the end, when you're passionate about a certain species, you just can't get away from it, man. They just haunt you all the time.
And I will say this too, Mark. Some people. I mean, I'm an emotional guy. My wife loves me for it, right? But some people, it's hard to break that point where a guy gets broken, and a chondro will break a grown man. I will tell you right now, and I'm talking about a grown man who is very passionate about chondros. You know what I mean? But you have to break through that. Like, you have to basically get yourself numb of it. And I'm glad I've had disasters my first 2 chondro clutches. I mean, I'm not going to say, that was my goal. But at the end of the day, I appreciate that I had to go through that many eggs dying on me. I had to go through one snake just eating right off the go and then dying because of an error. And then I had to go with my last chondro production that Socrates had to just put down after a year of assist feeding. He assist fed this thing for a year. Can you believe it?
Socrates, he's a saint, man. He's on another level.
I love him so much. But yes, I mean, it's just, you just got to be keep it moving, man. It's just keep it moving. You take the good with the bad. And at the end of the day, if one chondro doesn't make it, go look at the ones that are making it and just be we're still here together, man. You know what I mean? Enjoy the ride.
And you can always learn from the mistakes. Like my first clutch of eggs, I think I had 12 or 13 eggs from a BAC female to a high-end designer line male. I was stoked, over the moon, feeling so, confident and just oh man, I did it. I got eggs, and put them in the incubator. Went, a couple days, one's down. A couple more days, another one's down. A couple more days, and they just drop like flies until the very end. And I think at 50 days, I open it up and I cut the remaining eggs, and they were all dead.
Were they formed?
Yeah, fully formed, dead in egg. And that was clutch number 1.
Clutch number 1. What a welcoming.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. But I learned from it, and I said, man, I'm gonna take that hit, and I'm gonna do something different. I'm not gonna give up because I'm so passionate about these animals.
So let's go ahead and just revert to a current situation. Let's say one of your chondros lays a clutch for you now. You put the eggs in the incubator. You start seeing those eggs going out one by one. What is a protocol you do now? What do you do for that?
Oh man, it's so hard. Because every situation is different. So many of us we buy the incubators that other people tell us about, and we set up those industry incubators in our room, thinking that it's going to function the same in our room as it is someone else's room across the country. And it's just not. Like every environment is different. Every egg box that you're using is different. Like even if you're using a sim container in one part of the country in one incubator and a sim container in the other part of the country in another incubator, there are variations that are going to happen. And so it's always different. But man, I'm a firm believer that the eggs that are supposed to hatch are going to hatch. Like
That's it. You can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, and it's not like to over spiritualize anything. It's really like, man, these animals are designed to survive. Yeah. A good healthy egg wants to hatch. And granted, you gotta do the stuff. You gotta create the environment to make that happen. But man, when eggs start going early, and in the first week, 2 weeks, I just chalk it up to, man, that the veins weren't good, the embryo wasn't attached well, there was something genetically wrong with it. It wasn't supposed to be. And most of the time, those early eggs that go bad, you can't look into a crystal ball and figure out why they're going bad. But that's my take on it. Is, man, a good healthy egg is going to.
I mean, and I do know this from experience of fucking around with my incubator. It's easy to fuck up good eggs too. If you do something so stupid, it is very easy to fuck up the eggs as well. Where for instance, ball pythons, bro. Like
that wine's got you looser.
Oh my god, did I cuss? This is gonna be bad.
That's like, dude, that's like $200. That was.
Can I end this? This is bad.
Do you want? Right, hey, this isn't live, right? You can just cut that and
I feel like I dropped multiple. How many did I drop? Can someone? I'm gonna be a man of my word. I'm donating $50 every time I drop a cuss word. Was that it? How many F words was that? Was one, right?
Oh man, I think it was like 3.
What? Are you sure?
Hey, they sounded great. You really,
I just want Mama Heger to know I'm paying for these. Like, I am paying for these. This is that.
You were very eloquent with
all right,
with your expletives.
$200, whatever. Let's keep it moving. So, what were we talking about before I lost my composure?
Eggs incubators.
Oh yeah. So I'm just saying, it's really easy to just mess these eggs up. Okay, like by just doing any kind of adjustments. My thing, I moved the probe. I had the probe inside the egg box, and then I aired out the eggs, and then for whatever reason, took the probe out and left it out of the egg box, and like that, whatever, those eggs went from looking white to just dying all of a sudden. And maybe that wasn't it, but that means they were already on like day 20 something. You know what I mean? So it's like, at the end of the day, a good egg could be a good egg until you do something that could mess that up. It's just easy. You can't get away with that. I mean, you could get away with that with ball python eggs. I can tell you that fluctuation you could pull off with ball python eggs. The whole big drop and big up with chondro eggs, I don't think it's feasible.
Chondro eggs they're not the most sensitive python eggs. There's definitely other ones that are more sensitive than chondros. But man, chondro eggs are super small, and so even a small fluctuation around that small egg is taking up more of that egg's environment around it than it would on a big egg. And so, man, tiny fluctuations matter. Drops of water matter. Those chondro eggs are sensitive, and right now, you go on Facebook, you on Instagram, you see a lot of people right now getting ovulations. You see a lot of people getting eggs, and in about 2 months, you're going to see a lot less people hatching baby chondros, and then 2 months after that, you're going to see a lot less people actually selling established baby chondros, because man, every step in the breeding process for green trees, it just gets harder. You have to level up every single time, from pairing them and getting locks. That's cake. But then getting the female to go off feed, like when she starts being receptive, okay, step one. Then she ovulates and doesn't die. Man, that's like, okay, now we're getting harder. And then, man, when you get eggs, you're only halfway there.
And you know what's crazy?
You got to incubate the eggs. You got to hatch the eggs. You got to establish the babies. You got to, all the stuff, man.
So much work.
Yeah.
But I feel like a big reason why so many people are grasping other species so easily, not easily, but like why the ball python game is so, I guess, like you said, like the code's is unlocked or whatever, it's cracked, because it's a numbers game at the end of the day. The more you could do, the more results, the more you get a hang of things. At the end of the day, not everyone is dabbling into all these chondro pairings every year. It's more minimal stuff, you know what I mean? And the less numbers, less results. That's just how it works, and it's difficult when it comes to that. But if we could kind of go back to, what you do with your eggs now, like, let's kind of go on the other end of the spectrum here, where the eggs look fine after a couple weeks. What is your, like, first off, what's your temps? Is it 87 straight through, or what do you do?
Yeah, I actually start a little cooler. I do like 80, 86, 8 for the first week, just to kind of let them ramp up, maybe 2 weeks. And then I'm 87 until about day 30. Day 30? Yeah, day 40, 38, 40. And then I'll drop the temps again. So I don't do the straight bake stuff, because I have seen, especially towards the end, when those eggs start denting in and the babies inside those eggs are growing, they're actually like an exothermic reaction. Like, they are producing heat now because they're, a living thing that's filling up this egg mass. And then if you have a lot of eggs in that container, all creating their own heat, the temperature is increasing in that container. And so in the last 10, 12 days, I dropped the heat. I dropped the temperature in the incubator to account for the rising heat in the egg box, if that makes sense.
So wait, you drop the heat to what?
So I dropped the heat back down to below 87. So around 86, 8.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So just
I also crack the lid on the egg box around that time too, just to give a little more ventilation, and let some of that air exchange happen. And
then some actually do the little tiny holes with tape and take the tape off too. I think that's a Harlan Wall thing he taught me a while back, which I've never. This is the first year I'm going to be prepared for the air ventilation, because I feel like every year it's like I forget to do that. Not every. I mean, I haven't done it. I haven't gotten a clutch in a year, but the first 2 times I had it, I wasn't prepared for the air ventilation thing. And I think you're right. I feel like it gets to a point where that temperature is too much, where they get the heat exhaustion and they die. They look like they're all ready to go, but for whatever reason they can't get out of the egg because they have no energy. You know what I mean? They're tapped.
And I think some of that. I mean, if you've ever had a snake shipped to you that was too hot, or if you ever had a thermostat malfunction in your room, and a snake, an adult snake or even a subadult snake gets too hot, like, man, they just look so limp. They just they just can't do anything. And in my mind, that's what I envision happening to some of those babies that are, when you cut the eggs open or whatever, and you see these fully formed dead in egg babies. I think some of the time it's because it's getting too hot inside that egg chamber, and they just expire.
Shout out to Brett Bender. Brett Bender. Do we have some Texas hitters in the building? I want to say shout out to the Texas hitters. Got Brett Bender in the building. Got the homie Bill Stiegel in the building. But I ran into a little ordeal with my super dwarf eggs this year. My first clutch though. But I'm just saying I have.
Congrats on this.
Thank you. I put my eggs inside of a sim box, and with ball python eggs, I don't ever air them out. Like I leave those things alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But apparently with these retic eggs, these super door eggs, they're a lot bigger than a ball python egg. So the moisture was just building up way big, like way much more than it was on a ball python. So I remember I put these eggs were put away, and I left them alone for almost 2 weeks. And as I was checking, I noticed some eggs were getting wet, and I was like, "Oh crap!" Yeah. I was like, "Oh crap!" Like this isn't good. So I called Andrew, shout out to my boy Andrew Acevedo, and I was like, "Hey Andrew, like, well, these eggs are getting wet." And he's like, "Well, are you airing them out?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Dude, you should be airing them out." And I'm like, "Oh man," So I told Brett this story in Texas, and while I was visiting, and I'm pretty sure it was you, Brett. And he said that you get one of those skewers, like those wooden skewers.
Yeah.
And if you place it directly in the middle of the actual the egg tub on the lid and just rise it just a little bit, those air
stuff
they
runs
drop
off like an umbrella.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, I've heard other people that'll take like a pencil or a dowel rod or something and put it underneath the egg box on one end, so that the egg box is actually tilted forwards or backwards, and then as drops come in, they'll kind of roll off.
But do you air out your egg boxes at all, Mark? Like, do you ever take out like and if you do, so how often are you doing it?
Yeah, I do. It again, there's some people that have the same incubator as me that use very similar egg boxes as me that don't ever get condensation on their egg boxes. I don't know what they're doing differently. I don't know why. I'm not a incubator meteorologist or anything. Like I have no idea how that works. But
you're not a television repairman?
No, I'm not. But my egg boxes do get a fair amount of condensation on them. And so as I see that condensation build up, I'll take the lid off, I'll wipe it down, and I'll put the lid back on. It's a quick process, and it doesn't take very long, but it varies. So it's not like a set number of days that I do that. It varies as the eggs continue to progress. That window of time shortens because as the eggs grow, they're releasing more heat and creating more condensation in the chamber.
Now, I mean, I know we were talking about your first clutch being a dud, on your first trial. Now, did you produce immediately the next year? Did you get another clutch, or how that? Let's kind of move on up the path here.
Yeah, I got 2 clutches that next year, and I had almost 100% hatch rate on both of them. Would you like to know why?
Please.
I took them to Bill Stiegel's house.
Wait, so she laid them and you took them straight there? Like, how'd that work? I'm confused.
Yeah. So I first had a wine cooler incubator that I built, and I thought this was going to be great. Well, after the first clutch, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to order a real incubator. So I did that, but the delay, I didn't have the incubator in time for the first clutch of eggs.
Wow.
And so I was like, hey, Bill, I don't have an incubator yet. Can I bring them over to you? He said, Mark, you're easily my favorite Texan. Yes, you can do that. So he did that. And then I forget. Oh, and then so I got the incubator from Sea Serpents. Shout out to Chris at Sea Serpents. He's awesome, amazing, just really, really cool guy. Great product. I would recommend it for sure. So then I get that incubator like 2 days before my next female lays, and I'm just nervous, man. I'm like this was the female that I like, oh man, like this was the pairing that I wanted to happen. Like this was my dream scenario for like this female, this male to go the distance. Oh my gosh, she's about to lay eggs. The incubator gets there like 2 days before she lays. And I'm too nervous. So what I did is I took all the eggs to Bill except for one. And I put one egg in my incubator to test it out and just see if it would work. And it did.
So the one egg made it?
Yeah.
Dude, like you said, if an egg's meant to hatch, it's gonna hatch. Those eggs want to hatch.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's you know, if you can hatch one egg in your incubator, you can hatch multiple. And so Bill hatched 6 at his house, and I hatched the one at mine. Actually, the snake on the background of your phone, that's the one that hatched at my house.
Are you ready to be heartbroken? I changed. Yeah. First time in like 2 years, I think. I don't know. I had that background forever, and I'm sorry, but I'm just a scrub guy now. I'm so sorry.
You're the scrub prince.
Blame Kush. I'm sorry. Blame Kush. You know,
You're a
dude,
monster.
you wanted the offers that darn guy gave me on this snake that I died multiple times. I'm like, bro, this guy wants this snake so bad. This is a freaking legendary snake right here. So I was like,
You pull open your phone and just get sad every time you look at it now.
I do. I felt like I cheated on you. Like I felt like I was like, dude, this isn't right, bro. Like this, you were die hard. I was die hard about that cover. I mean that wallpaper for a long time. I didn't want to change it. I loved it, man. That was awesome. But yeah, I mean, I will say, man. I mean, one thing I love you for, Mark, is, and I don't feel like a lot of people do this right when it comes to sharing other people's work, but the way you are good at showing what you do and then putting on the whole state of Texas is amazing. I'm telling you right now, bro. I think it's like one of the biggest like big bro thing you could do for something, like, because you know, I mean, I don't know. I appreciate that, and I think that's awesome of you.
Yeah, thanks. You know, to be honest, it like when I got into green trees, I started out with, you know, I started out with one, and then you know, slowly added a handful over time. But you know, even when I had like 4, 5 green trees that I was stoked about, I was like, man, I want to share these, but what good is me creating an account where I'm just reposting the same 5 snakes? Like, people are going to get so bored with that. But I know so many amazing people in Texas who have so many amazing green trees. Like, why don't we do this together? Like, if you know, I firmly believe that when people work together and collaborate on stuff, we can accomplish exponentially more than we could if we were doing it alone. And so that's why the Texas Chondros Instagram exists, is because, man, we have so many amazing people that are keeping so many amazing snakes in Texas that they deserve to be shown off. And, you know, I started out being really good at social media stuff and being able to get other people just more likes, more, you know, more followers for their accounts.
Yeah, because you are tapped in pretty good on how to read the algorithm. I mean, I do see that you're structured on your post and whatnot. And I know you've given tips. You've even given tips out on your own account on how people could like, you know, basically get more attention to their account. And I've actually took some of those and it worked big time.
Yeah, and it all depends on how much work you want to put into it. Like, man,
Yeah,
I took a stance early on that said, man, I don't want to be like tied to this like thing where I just have to do it all day long. And I don't want to be like shackled to my phone. So I'm going to do one post every weekday, and that's it. And man, for a long time, the algorithm was super kind to me. And I had some really, fortunate videos that went viral, and then, it just snowballs into more and more followers. But yeah, I don't, right now I know that there's a lot of stuff that I could do to increase, the followers and, play the Instagram game to, keep things like rolling downhill. But honestly, right now, I don't have the desire to put in that type of time. So I'm sticking with what works for me and what's comfortable for me. And it's great. And I still get to rep Texas pretty hard.
Hell yeah, you do. Super hard. Like this snake. This snake is super hard. What's the background? It's definitely one of my favorite snakes you've kept for quite a while. So what's the background on this one? If you could kind of break this down for people.
Yeah, that's Wuhan.
Oof.
Yeah, dude. She is, I mean, just from the second, she hatched, I knew that she was something special. Yeah, she's phenomenal. If you click on the hashtag, there should be a hashtag on it might be on her. Texas. Not on that one? No. Are you doing that on your phone or on the internet?
I'm on the internet.
Oh, go to TexasChondros.com.
Oh, right here. Boom.
Spell out Texas. Or yeah, go to the link right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wuhan is from
This is
what I call, go to Past Productions.
Oh, this is cool. Dude, I didn't know you had this. This is so epic. Wow.
Yeah, click on Wuhan.
Oh my God, this is so legendary. I'm geeking out right now. This is so cool. Wuhan was a clear standout from 2020 COVID calico clutch. Wow.
Yeah, so I hatched the clutch that she was a part of in March. It was, March or April of 2020. So it was like right in the thick of the pandemic. Like everything was going nuts. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hatched these snakes. Like the best one is going to get the name Wuhan. Cause dude, it's just a cool name, man. It's one of those names that you want to yell Wuhan.
Yeah, or go to war. I just want to go to war yelling it or something. You know what I mean?
So scroll all the way down and you can see.
Oh my God! Look at this thing.
She's like nearly patternless. And so with certain bloodlines, and one of the really frustrating things with chondros, and especially for other people coming into the chondro game, is how do you pick holdbacks? How do you know what they're gonna
oh my God,
what they're gonna look like? And you never know what they're gonna look like, but with certain bloodlines, with certain localities, like there are certain looks that you can that will help you predict some of the standouts. And with this particular pairing, so many of the standouts had zero dorsal pattern. They had this pinstripe line. They're like almost blank snakes, and super, super dark. Keep scrolling down. Go almost all the way, and you'll see a picture. Like it was like a couple days after she hatched, and it's
look at that,
jet black,
dude. Didn't you produce something else similar to, like, didn't you have two of these or something, or was that year after year you produced something like this?
So there was a handful. So I still have.
Oh my God! You got to be shitting me.
Yeah. So
Bro,
that
fuck.
so that was like 3 days after she had hatched.
Oh my God.
I mean, you just look at it and you say, okay, there is no dorsal pattern. It is super dark.
What the
The
fuck?
eyes are just like black. Like those are, and her belly was like dark red. And so for that particular bloodline and lineage and the look that I was going for, I knew Wuhan was going to be something special.
I need this pic, bro. I need you to send me this pic. I need it so bad. I want to hang
Oh,
it.
hey, I'll send it to you if you make it your phone background.
I will. Sorry. Yeah, I'll put. Oh,
dude, USARK, man, they are getting some checks tonight.
jeez. Yeah. I mean, I'm. This is like. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, the dark stuff is my jam. I'm obsessed with dark stuff. Like I love anything dark in the ball python game. The Chondro game, you can't go wrong with either way. Like there's certain, you know, like Socrates has like the white diamond and like that is just nuts, right? But then like it's just with Chondros, man, I'm just, if you go dark like this, it's probably one of the sickest things that you could do. I feel like this is like out of a dang fairy tale. Like this isn't like real. I feel like this is nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. She was something special for sure. And still is. I mean, she's only getting better.
So she's pushing 3 years old, or she's 2 years old, right? So, or how old is she? Right?
Yeah, 2.
Okay. And then how is establishing her? Like, let's kind of talk about like what this clutch was like for you.
She was awful to establish.
Oh my God, tell me. I want to hear about this.
She would strike and drop. And just a classic. She would act interested and then strike it and drop and strike it and drop and just, I mean, we would just play cat and mouse for, you know, a long time. And it's a lot of the times it's the pretty ones that are the hardest to work with, but you don't give up on the pretty ones. That's for sure. You don't give up on any of them. I have a saying here where, man, if you have a desire to live, then I'm going to do whatever I can to help you live in this snake room. The second your desire, you know, as the snake, the second you stop desiring to live is when I'm going to stop putting in as much effort. But man, she was showing that she was interested. She just couldn't get her act together. So she took a long time to get to the point where she was really, really comfortable striking every time, wrapping every time, and eating it every time. And that probably took the better part of a year.
Wow.
But her siblings were great feeders.
So what was it that you were? I mean, so it was a lot of assist feeding in the beginning. I'm assuming, right?
No, it wasn't assist feeding. It was just doing the routine. Like, you know, one of the things that I would do is, you know, she would strike and wrap, but then she would unhinge her mouth and still have the pinky wrapped up, and she would just be looking around. I would try closing the tub and leaving her, and then eventually she would crawl off and drop the pinky. And so one of the things that I started doing is, while she has the pinky wrapped, I would offer her another one. And sometimes she would take that and eat it. And while she's eating that, she would unwrap enough to drop the other one, and I would take that out and throw it away.
Wow.
So there's little tricks like that, you know, it's finding that rhythm, that dance with each snake. Like she would always strike and was showing interest in striking and wrapping, but then, you know, I would just have to be patient and either offer her another one or wait until she would drop it and then give it to her again. Or so I really didn't assist feed her hardly at all. It was just mind-numbing patience
And what was she? So what was she eventually eating? Just a pinky head, or did you do like the full pinky? What is your like routine?
Yeah, full pinkies.
Okay.
The day one or week old pinkies from Cold Blooded Cafe.
Okay. And then on a snake that is eating regularly for you, what is your time frame on when you offer again? Like, do you normally feed every week, 10 days? Like, how often are you feeding your neos?
With neonates, I'm feeding every like 5 to 7 days for the first couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months, and then once they're rocking and rolling, we're at about 7 to 10 days for the first year, and then we'll go 10 to 14 days kind of after that year and a half mark.
Okay.
Until they're at 14 to 21 days. And that happens around 2.5, 3 years. But there is an important part of you. If you don't feed a chondro enough early, if you have a baby or a neo or a really young snake, and you feed it on a every 2 or 3 week regimen, it'll live, but it's gonna be a small snake that it's like their growth gets stunted if they don't get enough nutrients early on. They will just never grow to whatever size they could be capable of.
Now, I mean, for you, like, I know we were talking earlier about what you would look at if I were to send you a snake in the mail that has already been bred for me, but what is something you're looking at for your first time breeders? Like, especially something you're raising up, like Wuhan, right? Like when's going to be the go time in your eyes for Wuhan if everything keeps up with her feeding and whatnot?
Man, she's going to be one I'm nervous about. If she was a male, I would give her a chance this year, this coming fall. But man, because she's a female, she's going to have me sweating bullets. The females, man, they take the brunt of all the terrible things that can go wrong during breeding. So I don't know. It's gonna need to be the right circumstances, the right male. Like I'm not just gonna put any male with Wuhan. I'm gonna make that pairing count. But she's gonna be at least 4 years old, if not older.
Right.
She's gonna have adequate fat reserve. She's gonna be healthy, mean eating. She's gonna be crushing food and just looking sharp, being well hydrated.
Right.
One thing that I do, I don't know who I got it from, but I definitely stole it from somebody. When I start the breeding season, I put an extra water bowl in my females' cages. So I have water bowls on all the cool sides of cages year round. But
right.
then when I start the cycling and the breeding and everything, I put an extra water bowl on the other side of the cage for females so that they have adequate water, because when they're building follicles, those follicles they're just water. Like
right.
That's how they reabsorb it. It's they're creating these pre-embryonic sacs that are just fluid, and they need water to do that. Right. So I want to make sure that my females are really well hydrated, on top of all the other health stuff.
Do you think like a snake, like for instance, a female who's not hydrated enough is a reason for some of them not producing anything?
For sure. I think hydration plays a huge role, even in things that we're not even aware about. I think hydration is probably the issue with a lot of problems that happen with green trees and other like really sensitive species. I think when a lot of times when chondros reabsorb follicles, I think it could be hydration related. I think when there's problems with, with prolapsing, I think some of that can be hydration. I think problems with egg laying or egg binding or, so many things come down to hydration. Not all the time by any means, but a lot of the time. I think hydration is a huge issue.
Now, for somebody who like does not see their snake drink often, right? What are some protocols you feel like you can do to ensure your snake is drinking? Because some people don't believe in spraying. I mean, I from where I live, I could get away with it and it works great. But what are you doing just to ensure otherwise, other than a water bowl? Do you do any extra steps to ensure that they're drinking?
No, I just make sure that they have fresh water often.
Right. Because they know when there's fresh water around. I can tell you that much. I've seen it. It's awesome. Like, especially if I've come back, like, I have people take care of this room when I'm gone. But like when I'm here, I do water changes near every day. I do water changes. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's not all the way. Sometimes life happens and, I'm like, but so I've noticed when I've come home and whatever, I put fresh water, they go right down to the water and they start chugging. And I've seen it. So that's why I'm like, man, the whole fresh water thing is overlooked. Like especially people who keep ball pythons and change their waters. Like, it's like kind of like a one-on-one, like, oh, once water changes once every week, dude, that's horse poo. You know what I mean? Like, no, like that.
Well, you just think about would you drink, so my wife, she leaves water glasses everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere. And
oh man.
And, I think about it sometimes where I'm like, I know that water glass has been there for 4 days, 5 days. I know it's just water, but I don't want to drink it.
Right.
That water's just been sitting out for 4 days. I don't want to drink it. So like if I can, obviously snakes aren't humans, but I think there is something of like, man, fresh water is better. It's good. Like it'll make you want to drink. And so, making sure that they have fresh water often and that it's easily accessible, especially, a lot of people have like these big, elaborate cages for green trees and they put the water all the way down at the bottom. And that's great. Like I'm sure a lot of snakes go and find it down at the bottom, but man, I would put it at the bottom, at the top, it in the back.
Anywhere accessible. Right.
Yeah. Like I don't want my snakes to have to work hard to find water.
Right. Right. Now let's just say, if we could kind of dip more into the breeding program that you have going, like, I don't know. I feel like timing's everything also when you pair and you don't need 1,000 locks, right? I mean, all it takes is the right time, the right lock to make it go down. But for instance, when you see an ovulation, right? Once you see that it's actually confirmed, you pull the male at that point, or is that male already pulled? Or when are you like pulling the male and whatnot?
Yeah, so I kind of break my breeding down into like 2-month chunks. And the reason that I did 2 months is because I looked at like so many different stages of green tree life cycle, and it comes down to about 50 days. It takes 50 days from ovulation to egg laying. It takes 50 days for the eggs to hatch, and so for me, I break my breeding down into 50-day chunks, so which is about 2 months. Right. So I fast my females for 2 months before the breeding season. So I feed them normal before that, and then I fast them for 2 months. Then after the 2 months, I feed them more heavily than normal. I ramp up into kind of a heavy feeding.
Can you give me Give me an idea what ramping up is to you, like, if you don't mind.
Well, so just like coming out of the fast,
Right.
I don't start hammering them with food right away. I ease them into it. I'll start them with a small meal. I'll wait 14 to 20 days, and then I'll give them a little bit bigger meal, and then I get to the point where I'm giving them a medium-ish meal for them. I'm not giving them huge meals, but I'm giving them kind of these like mid-range meals about every like 10 to 14 days, and I'll do that for about a month. So they'll get 4 meals in a month, like getting into that breeding season after the fast. I'll introduce the male during those times, just based on the activity that I see. I'll leave them in there for a couple days, and then I'll pull them out. I'll feed the female, give her a day to rest and recoup, then I'll put them back in. Typically, I keep doing that until the male like really loses interest. So if the female if she ever refuses food, that's a great sign. That's step one. To where you're like, oh, okay, like this is going in the right direction, but I'm still putting the male back in. I'm still putting the male back in. And then when you start noticing like some follicle swelling, a lot of people with green trees, they mistake that building of follicles as the ovulation. And man, you just had a Biak ovulate, and sometimes it's scary how big they get, and you're like, dude, like my snake's gonna explode.
Can I share one?
Huh? Share a picture?
Wait, why can't I do it? Hold on, let me see if I could do this. Hold on. All right, let me see if I could share this real quick, dude. Yeah,
dude, I had a female that looked like she had swallowed, those soft Nerf footballs that we all had as kids they all had like a bite taken out of them for some reason.
Oh, come on. I can't upload it. Hold on,
she looked like she had swallowed one of those because it was a massive ovulation.
Bro, this thing is horrific. Like it looks very, like, I felt so bad for Mimi when I saw this. I was like, is she okay? And what's crazy is, like, I thought she was ovulating. I thought she had already ovulated, but there's like such a buildup to it. Like you see her get big, and then you're like, and then the way they perch, they just look like they're just kind of like, and then, dude, and then I was showing Sock, like shout to Sock, but I was showing Sock like all these updates. Oh, here it is.
Well, you see her getting big, and you're like, oh yeah, great, she's ovulating, woohoo! And then she keeps getting bigger, and you're like, I think it's still okay. And then she keeps getting bigger, and you're like, oh my god, she's gonna explode. My snake is gonna explode in this cage right now.
Anyways, I can't pull it up. I'm so pissed, but it was so big, bro. Like I'm talking about, like really disturbing big.
It's sometimes super scary, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's pretty subtle. Sometimes, dude, look at that. I mean, that's insane. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So people, but when they're building follicles, they often look like they're ovulating, like just because they do swell up pretty big when they're building follicles. I keep putting the male in there. As long as he is showing interest, I will keep putting him in. And then eventually, usually before they start like really swelling with follicles, the male will be on the other side of the cage for good. He is not going, he's not crossing the line. He's said, you know what? I'm out. Also, I've noticed, and it's something that has happened for me consistently, when I know my female is going to ovulate in the next X amount of days, like it's a countdown at this point, when the male goes into shed, and he will shed out. I'm telling you, the male will shed right around the time when the female is about to ovulate.
Dude, that's what he did. Bro, that is crazy that you said that.
Yeah.
Why did that happen?
I don't know. I have asked a ton of other people, and so many people are like, "Oh my gosh, it actually happened on the day she ovulated." Like it's crazy. I don't know what the biological,
2 days. It was 2 days before the blow up. He shed.
Yeah.
It would not even like, okay, he shed. And then I looked, as soon as he shed, I looked at her and I was like, well, I think she's going somewhere. And then next the next morning, I was like, dude, she's fucking blowing up. And I was like, I'm pulling them. And I pulled them. And that's when literally that very next day, next morning is when she was like that football.
I call it like the winner's flag. It's like the male is like, he's shedding out. He's saying, hey, here's my shed skin around this female somewhere in this area, just to show all the other males don't even bother because I got the job done.
Right.
And
exactly.
and man, the male knows. He will normally, it doesn't happen all the time. There's always exceptions and whatever, but right before your female ovulates, that male will typically shed.
Wow.
And so when I see the male going into shed and he has lost interest and she's kind of swelling, I'm like, yes, okay, we're close.
One step closer to heartbreak. Let's go.
Yeah, stay humble, but you're close.
So I have to say, let's say the other thing happens where no action, right? Meaning like she's eating, never goes off, or even if you see action, let's say you do see action. Let's say you see locks, but the BICTH just that doesn't count. Does not go off food. She just keeps eating.
Yeah.
What at what point are you just like, all right, I'm going to call it off for this year? Or do you even do that? Like when do you like kick back on breeding that female if she never stops eating?
Yeah. So I had that happen last year with a female that is about to lay this year. Jack, my stud male, he locked with her so many times. I write down all the locks. I keep relatively detailed records, and I got to the point where I was like, he's locked with her so many times, I just can't even, like, it's unbelievable. I mean, 30, 40 times I must have witnessed locks, and she kept eating. She just never developed anything. And so, eventually I just said, okay, I'm going to give them a break. And that break is going to be for the rest of the season. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So I think some of it, I don't know that there's an exact answer, but it's just a gut feeling of, man, I don't think this is progressing. She's, even if they're locking, it's not amounting to anything. So I got to change something. And I'll, it could be she wasn't ready to go that year. It could be the wrong time of the year. Maybe she wanted to be a spring breeder instead of a fall breeder. Chondros can breed year round. Like they're, I think Ian Bissell has hatched chondros in every single month of the year. Rico Walder would also, he's hatched chondros year round. Patrick would agree, chondros year round. Right. So to put your females in the box of, okay, everyone here is going to be a fall breeder that makes spring babies. It's just not always the case. And sometimes you got to change things up and find out when that female wants to breed.
How often are you finding males not compatible with certain females and you like switch it up and then boom, they're all of a sudden just smashing that female? Do you see that quite often or not really?
I have seen that. More often I see males that just have no interest in breeding at all. And it doesn't matter the female, it doesn't matter. I have tried I've tried everything. Like anything that people have like suggested or recommended to like motivate a male to breed, I promise I've tried it. And almost all with very little, if any, success or, any progress made. Some males they just don't want to breed. And maybe it's an age thing. I've seen males turn on at 7 or 8 years and they say, okay, now I'm ready. But there's nothing you can do, doesn't sheds from other males, trying to put them in with different females, trying to fast them, like, so that they get the shock to their system. And they're like, oh yeah, maybe I don't want to eat. I do want to breed. Man, I've tried it all and have come to the conclusion that males will breed when they want to breed.
At the end of the day, it goes that for females too. You know what I mean? They're gonna want to do it when they want to do it.
Yeah, and that's super frustrating, especially for new keepers or first time breeders, where they're like, man, what do I do to get my male interested? And find another male. It's just ready. Some of those males just don't want to do it, and it doesn't matter what you do. They're just not going to be interested.
Now let's say that
they are.
Right. Now let's just say, let's say you're working with 5 females. You have 2 males. One of the male obviously just doesn't want nothing to do with anything. Then you have one male that's just laying pipe, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever delegate multiple, like taking that male to another female? Have you ever played around with that yet? Or are you just like one male to one female for the year?
Yeah, so typically I've been one male to one female. This is the first year that I put the same male with 2 different females, and both of them went. So I know Marshall, with Versace, his het albino male. I mean, dude, Versace might be one of the most prolific male chondros of all time. And that's not an exaggeration. That's real numbers. But Marshall will put him to as many females as he has ready, and within keeping him healthy. So I don't see a problem with it as long as you're monitoring the male and making sure that he's okay. The downside to that is, if you're only using that one male and one female is if you have 2 females that are kind of in cycle together and they're trying to go at the same time, you can't have one male in 2 cages. And so that can get tricky.
You know what, Mama? I don't mean to cut you off, Mark, but you know what Mama Heger would love right now?
Tell me.
If the likes got up just for her boy, just a little bit. So, guys, if you're just now tapping in, can we please get the likes up for my man Mark, because he's spitting fire and the fire's not done. We need the likes up, please. I mean, let's do it for Mama Heger.
Let's do it for Marcia.
Let's do it for Marcia. Can I call her Mama Heger? Is that cool?
Yeah. You can call her whatever you want.
No, not within respectable manners. Mama Heger is a saint. Can we get Mama Heger at the next barbecue at Bill's? Is that possible? Or how's that? I mean, just so I could be like, I did this.
Yeah. I'll ask. I came home from the one a couple weeks ago, and and we had dinner at my parents' house, like maybe that next day or something. And so my mom was asking, oh, how was the get together? How was the snake get together? And I was like, Mom, we actually talked about you. Like you were a topic of conversation. And she was laughing. She thought that was hilarious.
I have to ask you, what was it like growing up? I mean, first off, did you have snakes as a kid? I think I remember asking you this at Unfiltered, but I can't remember. But growing up, did Mark have snake in high school or anything like that, or no?
Yeah. So you want to know why Marcia Heger is a real one?
Right.
She brought me home my very first snake that she caught. She was driving.
Wow.
She was driving, or maybe like coming out of a friend's house and like getting into the car and saw a snake in the road, picked it up, put it in the car and brought it home and said, here, do you want to see this snake? You can keep it for, X amount of time. It was this little garter snake. And I kept it for, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe a month. And then let it go. But the first snake ever, Marcia Heger, brought it home.
Respect to the mothers. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but no, I didn't have. I had a couple of snakes after that, and I was a catch and release keeper. We had a forest kind of by our house, and so I would go in there and catch lizards and snakes and frogs and whatever, keep them for a little while, and then put them back out. And then I didn't have any reptiles or anything in junior high or high school or college, just because I was pretty focused on girls and wakeboarding, and those two things kept me pretty busy.
Wakeboarding, man. Let's talk about, obviously, because we were just talking about how a lot of people who are passionate and have been successful at breeding chondros don't just rely on breeding chondros, or don't even breed chondros for financial income. What do you do for a living other than, obviously be a legendary chondro breeder?
Well, I wouldn't say that I've reached legendary status yet, but
hey, listen, hey, to me, all due respect, Mama Heger, what the heck? You're a legend to me, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, for a living, as ridiculous as it sounds, I do full-time wakeboard ministry. And then the next question I get every time I say that is, what are you talking about? What does that look like? So I run a nationwide ministry where we share the love of God with the people of Wake. I grew up wakeboarding, and that was my passion from day one. I was all in, just traveling all over the country. I was obsessed, and still am. And I've been in the industry ever since. I'm one of those people that got into the industry and refused to leave. And so I've been super fortunate to have a ton of doors open for me in wakeboarding. And I'm the announcer for the pro tour. I travel with all the pros. And then we have chapters all over the country for Wakewell. That's the ministry, where people gather together, they hang out, they ride, they wakeboard together. And then at the end of the night, someone shares a message. So that's my job.
Damn. Wait, that's cool, right? You call it. Would Mama Heger consider that a cuss word?
No, I don't think so. You're clean.
I'm just saying, I'm tapping into my Tinley money right now. You know what I mean? And I want to have a good time at Tinley. I'm just kidding. I'll be fine. Okay, so and let me ask you, because right now, like you said, you only have, not that only, but you have 20 some odd adults, and you're trying to keep it at that. It's not like you're trying to get to a huge point where you want to be mass production of chondros, right? Or like, what's your goal with this right now, Mark?
Yeah, that's a great question. I still consider myself pretty young. You and I are the same age. I think we're months apart.
You're 85?
I'm 85, dude. What a year.
Yeah, dude, that's
a year.
What a year. I love it.
So yeah, I still think of myself as pretty young, even though I get older every year. And I live a relatively young lifestyle. So it's weird to start like thinking, retiring and, all the stuff. But dude, I've watched what Bill has done, and, having Bill as a friend, as a mentor, as, someone to look up to in the hobby, is incredible. It's an incredible blessing, and it's a huge curse, because I'm like, geez, I just want to be Bill. And you just don't get to Bill status. I
don't even think Bill knows what status he's at, because he's such a humble guy, like Bill's like, here's the thing with Bill, and I love him for this, but I was like you know, like I think it wasn't last Arlington, but the Arlington before that, you know, when I stayed at his place, and he's like, hey, MJ, can you, you know, and it's cool if you can, but can you get me into the show? I was like, can I get you into the show? I was like, no problem. I was like, dude, he's like, do you mind if I tag along with? I was like, tag along with me? I was like, bro, he's like, yeah, no one's going to really know who I am. I'm like, Bill, you need to knock it off right now. Like you're joking right now. So we get in, I get his pass. Like Brian Potter knows who he is. We walk right in. This guy gets stopped like immediately. Like Bill, like Bill just doesn't care about like, I mean, he cares about himself, but like he doesn't gloat or glorify what he does.
Well, Bill's touched like so many of the huge areas of the hobby. So obviously he's done ball pythons for so long and is very well known within, you know, the state of Texas for ball python stuff. But he was also super big in carpets for a long time. He's in green trees. He's now into blood pythons and rough scale pythons, and he's
in the short tail game, man. He is proud of him, man. He's doing really good. Good job, Bill.
And you know, he's been in these like bigger areas of the python hobby, and it's not dumb luck. Like Bill is really smart. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, Bill deserves all the success that he has had, because he's really smart and he works hard and he knows how to market himself and how to take care of the snakes.
What's crazy is like, as great as it was just to be at his place with you there, Brian Phillip, Tony Jerome was there.
Tony's the man.
Yeah, Tony's a man. Shout out to Tony. But then guess who else was there? Random person. Like he was even getting in a picture with us. And I'm like, who's this guy? Justin Gabelka hanging out with the Chondro crew. What do you know?
Yeah, who's that?
Who's that? Dude, go ahead.
When I forget what I said, but he sat down and I was like, oh, hey man, I'm Mark. And you were sitting there looking at me, and I was looking at him, I was like, oh, do you keep any snakes? Or I said something just super smart, Alec, and I saw you just die.
Like, what do you do or something? Like it was something like it was like, so what's your purpose?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
But
So,
stuff like that. But let me say something though, okay? Because and I told Justin this too. He was laughing. So first off, by the way, shout out to Bill for getting Justin Kabelka into the Chondro game. That's where I'm getting at with this. Like Justin came over, kicked it at Bill's place. Next thing you know, is in Bill's Chondro room and doesn't leave at that point, but Bill sends him a legendary. I'll let Bill spill the beans on what he sent him. But anyways, so Ari Flagel, you know Ari, right? The homie Flag. You know Ari, right? Shout out to
Ari well. I love Ari.
Well, if you love Bolins, you have to love Ari, right? It goes hand in hand, right? So
for sure.
Justin loves Bolins. Like he's passionate about Bolins. And his 100, I don't know how much he spent. A lot of money in his facility, like a lot, 6 figures, right?
Well,
but as soon as you mad buckets, right? As soon as you walk into this facility, there's a lobby to the left are these huge Bolin python displays, right? And it's like, oh wow, it's very mind blowing. And so I told him when I was at Justin's place, I'll say, hey, you know, I have a show in about a couple months. I'm going to go to Ari Flagel's. And he's like, oh, Ari, you know, and like he knew who Ari was and he was all stoked. And I asked him, I was like, would you be possibly interested in sponsoring the episode? And, you know, we'll mention how you have Bolins. And he jumped all over it. He was super excited. So I was excited. I was like, oh man, Ari's going to love this. Like the #1 ball python guy in the game sponsoring his channel. And everyone's like, Ari, guess who's sponsoring your channel? He's like, oh man, who? Justin Gabelka. Who?
And that's classic.
He was so serious. And I was like, shut up. He was like, no, man, I'm sorry. Who is that? I'm like,
oh. Ari's one of those guys that's so old school.
I love it.
That like he's just not concerned. He's not concerned about anything going on in the hobby now. He only knows like the old school people that he was in the hobby with early, and then like whatever's happening in front of his face. Because he's like, look, I don't care about the hobby. I care about this. I care about Bolins and Reptilandia, and like this right now is what's concerning me. And dude, Ari's the man.
Well, because you got to understand right now, for the most part, if you're just getting into snakes, Are you doing it because of a social media fad? Like what are you really getting into snakes at this point, right? And it could be many reasons why you love snakes. Animals are awesome, right? But like, you know, Bolin's getting so popular because way they've been marketed. But Ari's been obsessed about Bolins. Like he's been about this before it was anything to anybody, and put himself in dangerous positions, risked his life, literally almost dying of malaria in the wild just to get research and see a Bolin python's clutch in the wild, which he would never be able to see. He almost killed himself for this. So he doesn't know a lot of people.
No. Ari is the real deal. If anybody thinks otherwise, they are wrong. Ari is the real.
And I do want to make, I hope to, I mean, this is going to be a given, but I had a dream the other night of all of us at Reptilandia just having the time of our life the weekend of like a Arlington or something, like just a meetup point. Like, yo, let's be here. We'll do a podcast together. Like, let's just all be here as Texans. Did I just say as Texans? I just said that, huh?
Hey,
but let's all be here.
We'll take it. Yeah. Dude.
I love it.
Let's make dreams come true, man. Let's do it.
All right. So, Mark, I mean, obviously, I feel the biggest connection between me and you was when you knew I'm still a noob. We're all noobs, right? But I didn't know much of anything. I was figuring out my darn ball python collection, right? But I was getting into chondros. I was starting to, get up the lit. I was picking up some up and I was establishing them. And then I remember I reached out to you because I was so fascinated with your setups. And I was like, hey, what caging do you use? And you told me what?
Yeah. So I don't know what year it was. It must have been
2018.
2018. And Easter weekend 2018. And I was like, you sent me a message and I was like, oh yeah, they're tubs. Like I made these tubs. They're, I convert them into cages. And you're like, oh man, how do you do that? And I was like, dude, it's going to be so much easier if I just call this guy on the phone. Like I just got to call him and I can tell him. And so I did. So
first time anyone's done that, by the way. I think I already I had friendships with people in the ball python game, but Chondro game, you were the first person to like, hey, let me show you how that's done. And I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I just broke it down and each of these, it's basically, since I've done it this way, there's other companies that have come out with like tub conversion kits, and it's not because they saw what I was doing by any means. I don't pretend to say that at all. But so there are better, like easier ways to do it now. I went the long route. So each of these is just a tub flipped on its side with a frame around it, and then you build a box that frame fits in, and there's heat tape around the back. And it works.
But here's the thing though, like that's your style. Like that's a one of a kind setup right there. Even though they have like that new stuff for your tub, that's a Mark Heger signature style right there, bro. Like the blackout, like I'm obsessed. What's crazy is like I took to heart that you called me so serious that I right then and there bought all the parts. When you told me what to buy, I bought them all.
Yeah.
I'm just not a good handy, and I'm a lot better now. But at that time, like measuring and cutting was not my strong game whatsoever. So, and I used my dad. Back then, I used to use my dad for everything. And my dad's sad that I picked up on things and I don't use them as much. But still, I was like, I'm gonna buy. I went and bought 10 tubs. I bought all the wood. I bought the glass. I even bought the glass. The only thing I had to buy was the traction, just the traction thing, which I had the link that you sent me. I had everything. But I had it all stacked in a corner wanting my dad to do it. And sure enough, it just never happened, unfortunately.
Yeah. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes screwing some stuff up.
It does.
But man, they've worked really well for me. And like, I think when I priced it out, I think they come out to like, I don't even know, like $50 a cage or something. Something really ridiculous. And I have never had super high paying jobs. Being in ministry, I raise every dollar that comes in. And so
Right.
falling in love with green tree pythons has crippled me in a lot of ways, where it's like, man, these snakes, they just keep getting more expensive. And then they have, you know, expensive caging and, you know, like all this stuff that you have to have for them. And so, man, I got to learn how to ball on a budget, you know, and do it pretty well. And thankfully I've gotten really good at giving maximum care with minimal dollars.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, here's the thing: like, this could be a real expensive hobby if you got the money, right? Like, you could go and but not only money, patience, right? Even if you have all the money, if you want all this caging professional stuff, you got to wait. Like, it's time, you know. Even I'm waiting for 16 3x2x2s by the big homies, Stephen and Ashley over at Focus Habitats. You know, Texas, right? I only have Texas built stuff in my collection, but I'm just saying. But it's time. You got to wait. You know what I mean? But I also feel like if you're just getting into something, especially a new project or species, you should probably do something that's more cost efficient to make sure you're meant for this type of thing, to make sure that you are going to be in this for the long run, you know? And I only say that because, Mark, you understand that how some people take this lightly, who don't watch any of this podcast, who don't watch any information, just get into chondros and they get blindsided because they think it's a walk in the park. They think it's like breeding corn snakes or something. And it's not. There's the whole, and here's another thing too, man. I mean, yeah, you could probably sell. I mean, I don't know. I feel like with ball pythons, here's the thing with ball pythons, and I'll just mention this right now. A lot of people coming into this game dropping over 100K, and then some of them are even producing after a year, but they can't sell these 10, 15K snakes because they got no name. Like, who are you? Like, yeah, that is a snake at that value, but like you're going to sit on that snake for quite a while because no one's looking at your work. But I feel but I will feel like chondros, if you are that guy who breeds something out of the woodwork, people will give you the time of day because it's such a niche.
I mean, there's this, you know, obviously the demand, the supply in the ball python game is super high. And, you know, if you can't find what you're looking for in ball pythons, then you're not looking hard enough. Like, it's there.
Oh, it's there.
But in green trees, the supply is incredibly low compared to the demand.
Right.
And you know, I could make 100. I could have 100 green tree babies and sell every single one of them without blinking.
Yeah, in Texas only too, sick bastard.
Yeah, I mean, the demand is so high. I literally could not produce enough babies based on the demand.
Why are you guys?
Producing those babies is, you know, it's not a walk in the park. It doesn't happen overnight, and there's no one mass producing chondro babies with any type of regularity or consistency.
So let me ask you this, Mark. If somebody like myself came in and started producing chondros, and let's just say I don't know, let me ask you this. Like, what's a going rate for one of your neonates? Like an average going, can you even give an average neonate? It all varies, right? Like, it's so hard to give an average.
Yeah. I get this question a lot.
Right.
You know, I mean, literally every day there's someone messaging me on the Texas Chondros Instagram account asking, do I have anything for sale? When's the next clutch happening? What's your price ranges for the babies that are coming up? And I tell them the same thing every time, man. Prices vary based on so many things. They vary on the bloodlines that you're interested in.
Right.
It varies on the neonate color, so red or yellow. Typically, red are more expensive and yellows are less expensive. Not always true, but that's a general rule. And then in those colors, based on the look of the neonate, if you know, something like Wuhan pops out completely like black, patternless, that that is going to be a much more expensive neonate than a other red neonate that looks like every other, red chondro. And so there's so many factors that go into it. I just tell people, look, I don't even set prices until I have a look at the babies. And if I only hatch 3 babies and I'm keeping 1 and selling 2, then those prices are going to be different than if I was selling 20 from a clutch, because now you're getting 1 of 3 in a clutch. Like that's a big deal in chondro record keeping and lineage and all the stuff.
By the way, respect all the likes going up. That's from Mama Heger. I want to say though, what's the cheapest snake you've ever sold?
The cheapest snake I ever sold?
Lowest price snake you've ever sold. I don't want to say cheap, obviously, but what's the let's just say what's the lowest?
Just green trees or anything?
Yeah, just green. Let's talk about just green trees right now. Just green trees. Produce a Mark Heger production. What's the lowest? What's the lowest? What's the less money you've taken for one of your productions?
Probably around 15, 18, something like that.
And and if you don't know anything about chondros, but you like chondros and you want to inquire, $1,500-$1,800 would seem like a lot to you. Like it'd be like, yo, what? But
it is a lot. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's a lot of money.
But me personally don't feel like it's enough. I don't feel like it's enough. If a ball python is selling for $15,000 because the noodle looks hot, what about this? What about this chondro that took freaking days of work, or not even days, months of concentration and work? And I just feel like the value should be there just as high as ball pythons with these chondros. And I know they are with certain, but I'm just saying just a bottom base should be like $3,000.
Yeah, the work put into getting babies to the point where they are sellable is fictional compared to the price that they're getting sold for.
Right.
The prices, it is a lot of money. I am the first to tell people, hey, this is a lot of money, and if you can't afford it, don't ruin your life trying to attain whatever snake. Just don't.
It's so funny you said that, because literally there's some people who just get into the ball python game, not even have their first clutch, and they're and I don't want to say my podcast is to blame, but they do listen to certain people on this podcast, and they go, MJ, I want to get into the chondro game. And I go, well, dude, just can you relax? Hey, do you know who I could talk to? And then I do give them a referral, and they find out that there's a wait list and costs this much money. So then what happens? They find another route, a cheaper route, a shopping route, at the Reptile show or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then they just literally put themselves in a position where they spend too much money on something they don't know what they're doing, or they just spend money on something that just goes to a route that they're not ready for. At the end of the day, you want to know why I love the chondro game?
Tell me.
It taught me about death. And true. It made me accept it, bro. I feared death my whole life. I'm being 110% real with you right now. I had a real fear about death. I times where I would think how much I love my mom and my dad and my grandma and grandpa, and how they're still alive, and that I won't have that someday. And that just weighs on me. When I get into that mindset, it weighs on me. But here I am with a chondro. You gotta understand, the first thing to ever die on me was a chondro. And the first thing, I love the ball python, but the first thing I ever got that made me sit in a room for hours, just sitting there, my wife coming in, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just looking at this little tiny chondro. I was obsessed. And the first chondro I got was check this out. My very first chondro was given to a buddy of mine, which was from a wholesale deal, which this thing never ate. Never ate food. So here I had this snake, and I wanted to live so bad. I didn't think I would ever have enough money to buy another chondro like this. So I was like, I just want this thing to live so bad. So I remember I was so I wasn't delicate. I felt like I was not good enough to to assist feed it. So my dad came over and like say, this is before I had any chondro homies too. Like no, I knew nobody. And my dad came over and like he started assist feeding it for me, and it was eating, and I couldn't believe it. And then I ended up killing it. Like I ended up killing it. I think I overheated it. It was too wet, but it ended up dying. But dude, I sat crying, bro. Like I was like a straight. How old was I then? 32, 33. But I was crying. I buried it like a freaking little kid. Like I was like really emotionally upset.
Yeah.
And guess who I talked to after that? Andrew Acevedo. You know my boy Andrew?
I do.
That right. I don't know if I told you this, but that guy right there has put me on so many different levels in this game, and I give him so much respect. But he told me, he's like, hey, MJ, with all due respect, if you cannot harness your feelings with this, you should not be in the chondro game. This is not for the faint at heart. And I'm telling you right now, he told me you're not gonna make it. And I was like, and when he told me I wasn't gonna make it, I was like, fuck that shit. Oh, dang it! It's 250. That's a lot of money.
Dude, your passion was really
250.
You're getting pretty passionate right there. I could feel it coming.
I'm so sorry, but Andrew, I'm telling you, I'm writing this down. I'm not being, I'm a man of my words. That's 250. But dude, I'm just saying, man, like I this goes back to what I was saying, how things are meant to land in your lap. If you're meant to be in something, things will work in your favor in certain things. And I feel like meeting people like Andrew Acevedo, meeting people like Stephen Cush, meeting people like Desiree, like Forrest, like you, have put me in a mindset and put me in a place where I understand that, not everything's for certain. Like even with ball pythons, not every, like you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like nobody does. And the biggest rude awakening I could ever had was having something I love so much die on me, because it's going to happen. Like it's going to happen. Period. Yeah. That's it.
Everything that's alive is dying. We're all dying.
And then also too, like right after that, I grew like, okay, Andrew was my first person. And Andrew's not even a chondro guy. Like he loves chondros, but he doesn't have chondros. But he's the one who told me all about like, hey, this is what you need to be prepared for. And he's like, do you know who Zoo Dreams is? I was like, Zoo Dreams? He's like, yeah, check this guy's page out. And he started showing me all his chondros. And the way Andrew talked Forrest up, I was like, oh my God, like this guy, like who is he? Like who is this man? Yeah. And not even Andrew really had a relationship with him, and it's always like, just like, who is this guy? And when the day I messaged Forrest and he wrote me back, I was like, holy crap, this guy, like he knows I exist. And then next I'm on the phone with him. And so right after this chondro death, and I was like trying to bounce myself back, I met Forrest. And you don't know how many every phone call, it was something about something really expensive dying on Forrest. And I was like,
Forrest had like kind of coined himself as the least successful chondro breeder of all time or something. Like he had a phrase for it where he was like, look, I've killed a ton of chondros, and I still love them so much, but man, I can't get them to breed, or man, I can't hatch the eggs, or the females end up dying, or he had a funny term for it. And his positivity was what kept so many of us just attracted to Forrest. Like, man, we always wanted to be around him and hear about it, but also his realness of like, hey,
the reality.
Like, this is gonna break you for sure.
So did I ever tell you the story when Forrest came over to my house for the first time, and I was super just fanboyed out and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I told my wife, I was like, babe, I was like, Forrest Fanning's about to come over to my house. And she's like, what? She's like, and she kind of knew who Forrest was, but I was like, yeah, he's here, he's in town, and he's actually gonna pull up to the driveway. And we're mainly gonna go. I don't know who knew who Corey was from Toothless Reptiles, but this guy. So, he was, I knew Corey, and Corey lives 20 minutes from me. So the whole goal really, it wasn't to come see, he was down to see my place, but the whole goal was to go to Corey's place, but he wanted to check out my place first. So anyways, he pulls up and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just I'm nervous because I'm like, I don't think I have anything that he's going to be that jazzed over. And he liked it. But you want to know the first thing he said when he walked into my room? Everything has Nido.
Yep. That sounds like Forrest.
He said everything in here has Nido. He's like, bro, he's like, just so you know, because we used to talk about Nido so much on the phone. And
it was a hot topic.
Yeah, he used to argue with me all the time. Like, he's like, I guarantee you probably your stuff has Nido in it. I was like, no, it doesn't. I was like, it would be dead, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no. I was like, I'm just telling you. And then literally because we would talk about it so much, the first thing he said when he walks into my room, which I didn't expect that, was everything has Nido. And I was like, you're a sick SOB, bro. Like,
that's funny.
That's
the first. So I had a similar experience with Forrest where, we had been friends, we had been acquaintances, we knew each other. And then he started traveling with Barchek, like going on these trips and everything. And, like being a part of the vlog and whatever. And so, Brian was coming down to Texas, I think it was when he was starting to build the Reptarium or something.
Right.
Yeah. Universal Rocks, where they do all that like crazy, rockscaping and, the fake rocks and trees. It's like 5 minutes from my house.
Wow.
And so Forrest messages me and it's like, hey, could I come over? I'm going to be in Texas. Could I see your collection? I'd love that. I was like, yeah, man, you're welcome anytime. And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm bringing Brian Barchek too. I'm like,
whoa,
what? So you and Brian Barchek are going to come see my collection. Great. Cool. Oh, okay. Cool. I'm not nervous. Great. Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Dude, I was geeking out.
Oh my gosh. And oh man, I miss that guy, bro. I'm going to tell you right now, because like Forrest, the way he talked highly about people, and majority of these people I'm good friends with, like you, Bill, Patrick, Marshall, like the way I have all these relationships with you guys, I can say it just sucks. I can't share it with him now. You know what I mean? Like I can't and life is what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful for what I have and what still is what's still here. But like, it is sucks that somebody who introduced me to something I had no clue about became such a big part of my life and is a part of my life. You know what I mean? And like, I just want to hug him. Like, I just want to say thank you. Like, and I know he knows I'm thankful and I tell him all the time, but like that's, if I could hug one person right now, I really wish it could be Forrest.
Forrest is the man.
Yeah. And just because he was the man to so many people. And just like how we were talking about how Bill doesn't know that he's a man, Forrest never knew he was the man. I used to tell Forrest all the time, I'm like, bro, you're the man. And he's like, no, I'm not. I suck. Things die on me. I'm like, yeah, but bro, it's like, it's more than that. Like, and he used to thank me. And like, that's why like we started the podcast together. Cause I used to tell him how much his worth was. I used to tell him how much I used to like, bro, like I'm geeking out over how sick you are. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't need to do this. I could do this to anyone else. And I used to embed it in his head. And like, he was somebody who just didn't like to accept that, like, I don't know. He was just so used to just taking stuff as it hit him. And I don't know, like the guy did, the guy's missed. That's all I got to say. He's heavily missed. Wish he was here now with us. He is here with us now. I love you, buddy. I know you're here with us, bud.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. But let me ask you this, Mark, with anybody who is interested at this point getting in, because I can tell you right now, man, there's so many people, even freaking Forrest's butt used to be on my case about, well, dude, you're so ball python heavy, like there's no, you can't get rich off ball pythons, which he turns out he's lying. He's a liar on that, right? I'm not saying I'm rich, but my life is rich full. Like, I feel like I have everything I need right now. But what I'm saying is there's so many people trying to convince me at that time not to get so much into ball pythons, but now people are wanting to get into ball pythons. But it's also the other way around too. I got ball python people's getting into the chondro game. So from Mark Heger's standpoint, at this point, if you were to get into the chondro game, what's the best way stepping foot into the into the Chondro game in 2022?
Yeah, man, it's, you know, it is tricky, and I realize that, and so, you know, there's a couple different routes you can go, I think. I would first recommend, more than anything, going with a U.S. captive bred animal if you can.
Right.
If you have the ability, if you can save the money, if you can, you know, if you can do it, it will save you so many headaches. It will save you so much time. It will give you so much support because you're getting it from a breeder. And anyone who tells you, oh yeah, this is a captive born green tree. No, it's not, unless they have pictures of the parents. They have pictures of the female on eggs. If they don't have those, if they don't know who the parents are, if they say, oh yeah, I don't know, it, you know, my buddy just told me it was captive bred, then no, it's not. It's not captive bred. Captive bred means it came from a breeder who knows the parents, who can tell you all the things about them, who can give you the support, all those things. So if you can, go captive bred, go U.S. captive bred. Without a doubt, it will make your life so much easier. And pick, you know, there's so many incredible colors and lineages and localities, and like, find a breeder that's working with the stuff you want to work with, that's producing the chondros that you like. If you like high yellow, find someone working with high yellow. If you like high black, find someone, you know, that's doing that. If you want pure locality animals, there are people out there doing it. You just got to find them. So that's one side. I will rep U.S. captive born and bred all day. But I also realize that they have a huge price tag on them. And for a lot of people, that is super intimidating, especially for a first-time animal. You know, if you've kept ball pythons, you've never kept a green tree, it can be incredibly intimidating to say, oh, great, I've heard so many, you know, horror stories about green trees just dying. Let me go drop $3,000 on a snake that's just going to die, like everybody says it will. Typically, a U.S. captive born green tree will not do that. However, if you do decide to go with the non-U.S. captive born and bred route, there are certain people that are doing it right. Ryan Burke at Clockwork Reptiles, he's doing it right. Harlan Wall at Wall to Wall Reptiles, he's doing it right. There are not many others that I would suggest. There's maybe a couple. Those two are the main ones that I would go back to time and time again, because they have kept green trees. They know how to keep them. They have bred them. They are good at what they do.
Can I add one person on top of that? And I agree with you. There's really not many. Let me add
Dan
one.
Leary.
Yes.
Is
my boy
person.
Mark. I already knew you knew. You already knew I was going to say
Yeah.
Dan.
And there are others. I don't pretend like that's a closed list. So if you're going to get a non-U.S. captive born green tree, get it from someone reputable who other people would recommend. And then the sad part is, you know, you're still going to spend $600, $700, $800 on that snake just to buy it initially. And then you're going to spend a handful of, you know, hundreds on getting the right cage, doing a vet bill, making sure that you do a fecal exam to, you know, see what the parasite load is. If it's riddled with parasites, then yeah, you got to treat it. You got to get rid of it, or you got to get rid of the parasites. Or get rid of it. Yeah, or get rid of it. And also be okay with the reality that this animal that I decided, it was my choice to go with a non-captive bred animal. This animal might have parasites, might be sick, might be, you know, it came from, you know, from tough conditions. It came, you know, from all the way, you know, on the other side of the world and now it's in my house. It might die, and I'm out that money. You have to be okay with that. So I realize it's a double-edged sword of, you can go with a cheaper snake to try it out and to see if this is a species for you. But you also have to know that with that will come more headaches and more problems that you will have to deal with. Even if the snake thrives in your care, you are going to have to deal with, certain things because it's not U.S. captive born and bred. So set it up right, do your research. Like, we are the luckiest generation in the whole, history on Earth. We have everything at our fingertips. You can learn stuff. Quit asking, all the questions, and do some research before you ask questions. But also find people that are willing to help. And a breeder is going to want to help, because a breeder, let me tell you, I am so excited to sell someone a green tree of mine who is excited about green trees, because they're going to post that animal. They're going to share that animal. They're going to do all the marketing that I could ever need for me by them giving me money. Like, that's amazing. I want to sell people who have done research, who are super passionate, who are excited, and that's a no-brainer. I want to set them up for success. I want them to succeed so that they can show off this awesome snake that they got from me. Right. And I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make sure that they have that animal for a long time.
I mean, I appreciate everyone who contacts me asking me, when will you have green tree pythons for sale, or when will you breed? And like, I try, I mean, I don't take it personally at all, but like, I take it to where like, I'm just like so overhearing that, because I don't know. And even if I do, at this point, I'm selling is the last thing on my mind. Like I know you can't hold everything back, but like, I'm trying to be Patrick Holmes with this, man. Like, I'm not trying to sell this. I'm trying to trade and get what I want. I'm trying to like, even though I don't live in Texas, I'm trying to sell to only Texas, if you know what I mean. Like, that's what I want to pass this down to the next person, where I could check in on it. I could be like, hey, how are you doing? Everything good? I just don't see this as a mass production game ever in my eyes. And that's why
it never will be.
I mean,
Chondros just aren't built that way to be a mass-produced animal. I mean, even to have. I mean, so how many ball pythons do you have right now in the trap? How many?
I would say, not included, just adults, right?
Yeah, sure.
90.
Okay, so, but how much space do they take up?
I have 3 walls that are taken up, so not much, just walls, like three of these are taken up.
90 chondros is going to take up a warehouse. You have to have all of them, and at least an adult male needs to be in a 2x2 cage, and so they're just not set up to be a mass production animal. You have to, they require space. They require, more sensitive, you can't, I don't think you can have, sorry, let me start over. I think there is a threshold number with chondros where once you get over a certain amount of them, you are not able to, be as in tune with each animal, and then you're going to see die off in your collection until you reach that equilibrium.
But that goes back to the very beginning of this episode, when you said that you ran into that problem when snakes were at your mom's house because they didn't have that eye, they didn't have that attention.
Right.
You know what I mean? And exactly what you said is, if a pig never flies straight. Once you get so greedy and you get so overstacked with shit, that's when things start losing your attention and things start disintegrating. That's exactly what happens.
And there are species that are much more tolerant of that. Ball pythons is a great example. You don't have to have a super close eye on every ball python in your collection, and that's why they can be mass produced. That's one reason why they can be mass produced. I don't see chondros ever being that snake. I pray someone proves me wrong.
Guess who wants to prove you wrong? Guess whose mission is to be basically the next Rico Wilder?
Is it you?
No, fuck. I like that, bro. Fuck no. Oh, that's your fault. That is your fault.
Hey, I'll take that one.
$300, bro.
I'll take that one.
I'm sick to my stomach right now. No, you're not taking anything. This is my show. I take it.
All right.
Ah! What was I talking? Mama Heger, I'm sorry. It's not even about the money. It's about Mama Heger. That's who I'm letting down. I don't care about the money. I do care about the money. Shout out to USR. But Mama Heger, I'm sorry. It's the alcohol.
Blame it on the
But this is a lot better than unfiltered as far as my cursing goes, right? Like 110%.
It is much more filtered than unfiltered.
Okay, what were we talking about before I lost another $50?
I don't know.
Wait, what?
They're never going to be mass produced.
Oh, okay. Guess who's trying to change that? Not me, obviously. Not me. Socrates.
Sock is on another level, man. He's
nuts. He wants to get to like 15 clutches a year. Like that's his goal. I'm like, you're nuts, bro.
And he's the guy that can do it. So here's the thing that I tell people that want to get into chondros is before you know anything about the snakes, you have to know yourself. And it sounds so cheesy to say, but you have to know if you're the right, like, there are species that I know would not do well with me because I know myself about how I would care for that species. And so a green tree python is going to thrive best with someone who is detail oriented, who is very close attention, who is like research focused, desires to learn more, like wants to see everything, notice everything, those type of people are going to do really well with chondros because they're going, like, a chondro just doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room to get out of that. Once you start like varying too far out of the like equilibrium that it wants to be in, it doesn't do great.
Right.
And so a super like attentive person, research-based person, like those are the people that are going to do really well with chondros. And if that's not you, that's fine. But know that about yourself. If you're the person that doesn't want to do the research, that doesn't want to check on stuff, that doesn't like notice every little detail about things, like there are great animals for you,
right,
that are going to thrive under your care. And that doesn't make you less of a snake keeper that you can't keep a green tree.
But Mark, with all due respect, and this is only because you're not in the ball python game, but there's even people who can't keep ball pythons. Like, I'm serious, and it's really, really hard to kill a ball python. Let me just say,
totally.
you have to be a real POS to kill a ball python.
And again, I would say, that doesn't come in. That for me, in my mindset about that is, that's not them knowing not enough about the animal. That's them not knowing enough about themselves to know that they should not have that animal.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I think before you get a chondro, start doing some introspection and say, man, why do I want this? And I think you should do that with every species, whether it's ball pythons or, children or a dog or a cat or a Bolin's python, like, man, are you the right person to keep that species and really have it thrive under your care? Because if not, that's fine. But, you know, and yeah, whatever. I don't know. I could go off on a tangent on that. I'll leave it.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, especially being in this hobby as extensive I've been now, I do see that there's people out there who don't have the best reptile practices or care due to either lack of knowledge or lack of wanting to evolve.
Sure.
But I've seen so many terrible dog owners. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like humans in general, there's a percentage of humans that should have animals in their life, and there's a percentage of people who are just so POS in their life, like they just don't even care about their own living, that they should not have animals at all. And you know, because of reptiles being reptiles, we're under a microscope. Like everything what we do is like looked upon as like, oh my God, dangerous. But like the dog game gets, bro, the most biggest. I love dogs, bro. Like, I mean, I love reptiles, but not as much as I love dogs. Dogs are like they're like my children, you know? Yeah. And since I was yay high, I've seen dogs abused. I've seen dogs killed. I've seen dogs treated like they're dirt. But yet there's no threat to ever stop keeping them. There's never a push to that point because how big of a mainstream they are. But what was crazy is so are reptiles. Yeah. But we're under this microscope. At the end of the day, man, I just feel like humans don't deserve dogs. We don't. Unfortunately, we don't. I'm going to say it. We don't deserve dogs. Dogs give us more than we ask. Dogs give love to us that we don't deserve. We just can never match what they give us.
Yeah. There's nothing. There's no better like love than, well, maybe not better love, but it's really hard to beat a good dog. Like it is. Man, a good dog is something that doesn't leave you.
But something that makes you feel that way could still be abused by somebody. You see what I'm saying? It could still be not treated right. And that just goes with any animal. And I feel like humans as a whole just mess that all up. And it's sad. It sucks. You know, go ahead.
Humans as a species are really good at messing a lot of things up.
Oh yeah, that's our bread and butter. You kidding me?
We've done that since the beginning.
But at the end of the day, like the one people I cherish and I respect now are like you know Cody Bartolini.
I do.
Cody is a guy who obviously I only know Cody through Forrest. I've only met Cody through Forrest, but Cody was obviously Cody's like an Ari. Like he's been so involved into this. He's doing his thing. Like he has no time to keep up with gossip or what's happening and what's what, right? But, you know, added respect, Cody's been on my show. He does pay attention who I bring on, and he has had conversations on who he feels that are really bad for the hobby, like meaning like ones that are setting the worst examples ever.
Yeah. And Cody's so passionate about venomous stuff. I mean, he did it's like Ari with the Bolins. But a Bolins can't kill you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Cody's dedicated to Mambas, like things that could kill you. And he loves what he does. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying my passion's where Cody's at, but I'm starting to open up my eyes and seeing that these influencers and these certain people that put on this persona and show for people who are not in the hobby and getting the wrong kind of attention is not the right move for this industry, man. It really isn't. And I'm starting to be aware of this now, because look what's happening now with this Lacey Act. Even though, you know, whatever, like that, this there's been smoke like this before. It's still not fun hearing, and it's still not going anywhere. Like this is not going to it's going to get worse before it gets better. You know what I mean? And I'm just not. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's like there's a bigger purpose, and I feel like it's the animals is the purpose, not us. It's not about the human. It's about what can we do to keep the longevity for these animals is what is more of an interest to me versus either a like or subscription, if that makes sense. Yeah, and it's a give and take. You know, obviously the animals make our lives so much better, right? And that is a you know, in some ways a selfish thing, but because they make our lives so much better, we should do anything and everything in our power to make their lives as great as possible. And so that comes down to care, husbandry, research, all the stuff.
Now,
and
Mark,
things like USARC.
if I remember correctly, Mark, you're pretty straightforward with your substrate and everything, how you keep, like your less is more. You don't have bioactive stuff. Like you don't have all these stuff going on. Like how's your typical care going for all your chondros for the most part?
Yeah, I do paper substrate. I have natural branches.
I love those, by the way.
Thank you.
Hold on. How do you treat those? Like, what do you do with your branches? They're natural, so you pull them off the tree. What do you do?
Yeah, so I use crepe myrtle branches, because I don't know. At some point, someone told me to use crepe myrtle branches, and I have them accessible. And so I use those. I cut them off the tree, and thankfully, crepe myrtles are prolific. They just, man, you can prune them as hard as you want, and they just keep coming back. So it doesn't hurt the tree, which I like. But then I bake them. I'll bake them at 250 for a couple hours, just to make sure. I don't know if that's something that just makes me feel better, or if it.
I've definitely heard the baking thing. What I do is I not douse it, but that Reptile spray, that brown spray or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I spray mine, just leave it out in the sun for when it's hot, right? And I guess that's essentially the same thing as putting it in the oven.
Yeah.
But I definitely I leave it out and let that shit just kind of be like air out for a little bit.
Yeah. So that's what I do. I cut it to size. I put a little notch in it and put them in there. I like using the natural branches, one, because aesthetically I like the way it looks better. But two, I feel like it gives the snake a little bit more friction to help shed, to even just to hold on to. It gives them some friction, some resistance, some something to it's not just a slick, smooth PVC pipe. That's just a personal thing for me. I've kept them with PVC pipes before, and they've done fine, but I like the natural branches.
What's your take on, let's say you use PVC pipe or use a hanger or something, the perch being too smooth, can that really affect like the tail structure or something on the chondro if there's no structure or any kind of like divots or anything on the perch or have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of it. I can't imagine that it would. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. I'm sure there's something. I do keep my babies in tubs. They're all on plastic coat hangers or specialty enclosure design.
Should we give a shout to the homie, David Bramham? David, how do you say his last name? Bram? Is it Bram? Bram?
Specialty enclosure design, 3D printed stuff.
Hey, what do you recommend that the homie Dave would come on the show? You would recommend Dave on the show, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's like a weapons engineer.
I'm like this close. I'm like this close with them, getting him. I'm about to get him.
He's worth it. I'll send him a message. He's the man.
Yeah, please.
And he's produced some killer green trees.
But I mean, like, and you're right on that. But the crazy thing that this guy has done was these fucking 3D perches, like just setting everybody up with the simplicity of like, hey, this is what you put in the tub. That's all you need. Keep it simple. Like he's like making things more simpler for people to keep chondros.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can see them, all the elevated water bowls. Those are all specialty enclosure designs, all the hatchling tub things, all the perch holders.
Right.
That's all David Brahms.
Right.
He's the man.
Shout out to David Brahms, specialty designs. So okay, that being said, I have a wrap-up question for you before we get into the hot seat questions. Okay, Mark.
Let's get it.
For anybody who really is paint, like let's just say you have like a brand new Patrick Holmes into this. And what I mean by that is like doing his research, geeking
Someone
out.
who's like really into yoga and sushi.
Super just, within itself in the mid core. I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying is like, let's just say you have somebody who's just like sleep, eat, and poop chondro information, just non-stop. And then has, and you notice like, wow, this kid is very, very motivated. Like he wants to go somewhere. And then he comes to you and asks you, Mark, I'm so confused. Should I be a locality breeder or should I worry about the visual designer stuff? What is more important to the hobby right now? What should I do? What would you say to that?
That's a great question. I would tell them, and people do ask me similar questions. I tell everyone, man, work with what you love. Man, if you look at
Did I cuss?
Huh?
Did I say a cuss word?
Yeah, you said a couple. I stopped counting.
Oh my God. This is crazy.
But yeah, if you're not working with what you love, then why are you working with it? If you look at a Roo or a Biak and you're like, dude, that is like the quintessential green tree python, that is beautiful, then heck yeah, work with that. Like, man, see that through. Make the best looking Roos that you can, because you know what? That's awesome. If you're passionate about it, man, you can sell that passion for a mile. But dude, if you like the designer stuff, there are so many cool designer lines. Like one of the things that I like most about chondros is like the history and the lineage of these animals. Like, man, I geek out over that stuff. I think it's so cool that the animals in this room I literally have charts of their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, like all the way back to the very first chondros that came into captivity, like back in, however long. Like that is so fascinating to me that not only do I get to have this beautiful animal that's a work of art, but it's also like a living like history museum. Like it's incredible. And so there's designer lines that consistently produce whatever colors you're looking for: high yellows, high blacks, high blues, crazy smatterings of colors. There's designers that favor yellow neos. There's designers that favor red neos. And so, there really is something for everyone. And the only way that you can figure out what you like is to do your research and really, get after it. So
I lied about I lied about the wrap-up question. Hope you're not mad at me.
Oh no, I'm not mad.
Because there is one more snake I need to ask you about. One
Tell me.
more. We cannot be biased, Mark. We cannot just sit here and say red rules everything, because that's not the case. There are yellows out there that smack.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Don't mess with Muse.
Dude, Muse is something special.
Look at this thing, man. Watch the transition on this animal. And I'm telling you right now, this is why I believe in yellows. I'm telling you right now. Do not knock down yellow.
Yeah, man.
What's
I'm
the question?
trying to
Tell me this.
One of my big goals is to change the like reds only mentality and show that, man, yellow, if you work hard and you get the right animals, like, dude, you can get crazy colors from yellow neos.
Right. 110%. And this clutch was what clutch was this one?
So this was Jack, who is a yellow neo male that has a significant amount of black on him.
Right. Oh,
He was bred to Fiona, who was a yellow Neo female with a significant amount of black on her as well. And so, man, Muse has turned out just, he is everything that I anticipated was capable, like that those two snakes were capable of, and more. He's phenomenal.
and he's producing for you right now, or what's his where's he at right now with in your projects?
He is a male, and so I will probably give him a shot this next fall.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not even his debut yet.
No, not yet.
Woo!
He's getting there. I hope he's going to be a good breeder, because man, he is color packed. He is, just genetics are off the charts. He's a good one. Yeah.
Dang. Can't wait, man. Honestly, I'm so excited to see what's to come. With all your hard work and your passion, Mark. Give you mad props and respect, bro. I'm telling you right now, you definitely got a gift, and I appreciate you sharing it here on the podcast. You're the man, bro.
Hey, dude, you're the man. Thanks for having me on.
Listen, before you go, you got to get served with these hot seat questions. Everybody has to get the hot seat questions. So
yeah,
I don't want to have to. I'm already in deep. $350 I have to pay to US ARC right now. So please don't lag on these answers, because I feel like if you lag, I'm going to end up cussing, and I don't want to cuss anymore. I feel like I'm good.
Just to give you a heads up, I am an explainer. I love to explain myself, and so I apologize.
All right, here we go.
Yes.
Hot seat questions for Mark, Texas Chondro. You ready?
Ready.
Here we go. Frozen, thawed, or live?
Frozen, thawed, cold-blooded cafe all day.
Egg cutter or no cutter?
I'm pretty impatient, so I am a egg cutter.
What day would you cut?
I would cut the full day after the first pip.
What if
it's not a day. But I'll give 24 hours after first pip.
What day would you cut? There's no pip.
Everything looks good.
Everything looks good. The eggs are like white and dimpled, and you're like, "What the heck? What is going on?" And we're like on day 60.
Yeah, maybe day 60.
Okay. Red Chondro Neo or yellow Chondro Neo?
Dude, I'm gonna give the yellows love, but I do think it depends on the project. I'm not gonna explain anymore. I'll say yellow, but it depends on the project.
Pre first shed meal or post first shed meal?
Post.
Okay. Yay imports or boo imports?
I'll say yay imports. I think they have their place.
One reptile you would import today, if you could. Any reptile you could.
For my collection, like to have here?
To bring to your house. Any reptile you could, just one. Any reptile you could import if you want, if you could.
Man, honestly, I would love to have an Aussie green tree. Like
big one.
Dude, the stripe down the back, like solid white stripe on those Australian green trees. Whew.
Sick. To spray a snake or to not spray a snake?
I do spray.
Okay. Sports or no sports?
It's got to be the right sports, but yeah, sports.
Favorite sport?
Action sports. So
favorite action sport?
Yeah, wakeboarding, obviously.
Wakeboarding.
But all of them: surfing, snowboarding, skateboarding, love them all.
Right. Big flexor, no flexor.
Tex flexor.
So you're a big one then. Everything's big in Texas.
Tex flex all day.
Steak or fish?
Fish.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Van Halen, and I've seen him in concert.
AC/DC or Metallica?
I think AC/DC.
Nice. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
I'm sorry to say that I would go East Coast.
Oh, don't be sorry. I love East Coast. What's your favorite East Coast rapper?
Jay-Z.
Oh, nice.
Dude, not even a question. I mean, I was born and raised
I love
listening to Jay-Z, man.
That's pimp music right there.
That was it.
Little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk,
Cereal.
egg box.
Egg box?
Mm-hmm.
Eggs.
Cocoa.
Puffs.
Substrate.
Paper.
Stuck shed.
Soak it.
Mites.
Hope not.
Ovulation.
Halfway.
Day 60.
I guess cut.
New Chondro keeper.
Research.
Facebook trolls.
Talk to MJ.
Oh, you sick. You're a sick one. If you had to get rid of one platform forever, you better be careful. This one, I will take this to $400. If you had to get rid of one platform forever, and I mean forever, is it going to be Facebook or Instagram? Which one has to go?
Dude, honestly, this is hard for me because I do love Instagram, and I think I would prefer it most days, but you actually interact with people on Facebook, and I love people, and so it's super hard. Facebook is way more social, and Instagram is way more consume. So I don't know. I like them both. I think they both have their place. But if I had to get rid of one, I'd probably get rid of Facebook.
Thank you. Oh my God, it took forever. I was like, it's like a Band-Aid. Just rip it off already. Like, come on, guy.
Dude, I told you I'm an explainer. I can't help it.
Okay, hold on. Even though Alex cost me a lot of money by shouting out how much I owe. Last one. Filtered or unfiltered? Which one would you go?
Man, I like the real MJ. I like unfiltered, he's the real deal. So I don't ever want anybody to filter themselves around me. I want people to be themselves.
I mean, I was pretty much myself. I just, I look at that. I mean, I cuss 7 times. Okay. So I was myself. As much as no matter what the money's on the line, I'm always going to be MJ. And this is why I proved this. So I really feel like I shouldn't owe this. I'm just kidding.
Hey, nice try.
Nice try. I'm sending it over. We're good. Listen, Mark, amazing time. We had up to 80 people at one point in the show. All right. The likes are up. Everything went as planned. What do you have to say to all your supporters out there? What do you have to say to everyone who loves you and is showing you all this support, man?
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, man, I'm nothing in this hobby, period. But also I'm nothing without other people that, that follow and support and all that stuff. And that's the same with everyone. Justin Kabilka is nothing in this hobby without the people that love him and support him and follow him and all that stuff. So man, we're nothing without the people that surround us. So thank you. If you like looking at pictures of amazing snakes, go follow Texas Chondros.
And Texas Chondros is blowing up. That's all I got to say, man. You're killing it. Thanks you so much, bro. I appreciate you so much. Mark Heger, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Thank you, buddy. Please tell Mama Heger I'm sorry about the 7 cuss words. I tried. I really did.
Oh man, she's gonna be thrilled. She's got a forgiving heart, man. She'll be just over the moon that we've talked about her this much, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mark. Hey, listen, have a good rest of your night. I will see you. Will I see you in September at Bill's house? I'm assuming you'll make it there, right?
The chances are high.
Okay, good. What about going to the show?
Maybe, yeah. If I'm in town, I'm there.
Okay.
That's my travel schedule during the on season is hectic.
All right. Well, we'll play ear by ear. Take it day by day, and we'll talk about it soon. But have a good rest of your night, Mark. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, dude. Thank you.
All right, man. See you later.
See ya.
Woo! My gosh. Unbelievable. Whatever. I'm good. Good for it. I'll tell you that much. But guys, thank you so much. What an amazing episode. Full of chondro knowledge. My man Mark, he's just on top of his game. Can't hate on it. So guys, if you happen to tap into this later in the episode, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. All that good stuff. Amazing, amazing episode. Thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to everyone in the live chats. Thank you to all the big hitters in the building. Bill Stiegel, Brett Bender, Andrew Acevedo. We had Yosh in the building. We had some heavy chondro hitters in the building, man. So I appreciate you guys so much. Again, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. And drop a comment. Let me know if you're going to Tinley. I want to know if you're going to Tinley. Tinley roll call. It's time. I want to know. Are you pulling up? Pull up to Tinley and say what up to your boy MJ one time because it's going down. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and I'm out.